You're on point when I step in. Signs in the air for the gang that you're repping. Don't get brave when I'm stepping in the rave. If you show man love, everything's okay. So looking for a lively rave to have fun in. If there ain't girls in the place, we ain't coming. Middle finger up to the Jake, stepping in with the gang. Please tell the police they can't come in. Show me a salute, that's gang. Pure love for the crew, that's gang. Don't chat shit if you ain't gonna bang. Just show man a sign if you're down for the gang. Show me a salute, that's gang. Pure love for the crew, that's gang. Don't chat shit if you ain't gonna bang. Just show man a sign if you're down for the gang. Sign if you're down for the gang.
Can't fuck with the gang, we don't fucking pretend. We be busting the clubs, cause you know that we can. Can't fuck with the gang, we don't fucking pretend. Still rocking the show, still feeling the flow.
Welcome back, Juventinita, to the Juventinita Back to Black and White podcast. I'm Daniel Lenegro, and I'm live, obviously, from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And today we're going to be going over the post-match for Juve-Sassuolo. The great Sassuolo ruined us.
The mighty.
Yeah, it's time to squeeze our cheeks and pray, guys and girls. We are in a little bit of a predicament. Obviously, Merida won today, so they bring us to 6. They're 6 points away now, and obviously, episode 21. And again, guys, as always, smash the subscribe. You guys are doing awesome. Obviously, drop a like if you prefer to listen to the podcast on YouTube. Obviously, click the bell for notifications. It's going to come right into your feed when you do that, and obviously, you're up to date. Obviously, on iTunes, Spotify, same thing. Follow does the job, and yeah, it's they're posted, usually within a day. You guys know the drill, and yeah, no, definitely helps me out. Gets new guests on the show. Obviously, some that are more familiar, obviously on Twitter than others or not. But yeah, we continue with another great guest who's also a Sassuolo fan. Jake from New Jersey, man. How's it going?
Dude, it's going good. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Obviously, but besides the draw that we had to experience yesterday.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's bittersweet for you because
everyone had fun.
Yeah, no, it's we're talking before the podcast, right? And I was like, must be a family connection, or you must have some relative that is from the area, from oh my God, Reggio Emilia. And no, that's not the case. So kind of get into that. Tell us the story about that, actually.
So it started about 5 years ago, I would say. Actually, after the Copa win, I think when Juve beat Milan, so I think Sassuolo finished 6th that season. That kind of guaranteed Europe. So they're not like whole season, like most people, just paying attention to Di Francesco, Berardi, Sansone, Acerbi, all of them. They kind of just caught my eye. Like, it was just fun, like, watching this team, and like picking like a smaller team for me was like more interesting. It was more invested. Like, they just, like, the board and everything, I loved it. It's just very smart. So, and like I was 15 at the time, so jumping in, playing them with FIFA, and like it's just that connection. It's just like it slowly over time just came genuine instead of just like, hey, this is fun. It's just like, wow, okay, like really invested in this now. It's just great what they can do.
Yeah, and I always like their jersey. I like the green color.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I almost bought one a couple years back with Berardi because we were always linked with him to come to Juve. And, I'd never really pulled the trigger. But it's kind of like me, I have an affinity with, obviously, Atletico Madrid, obviously what happened. Maybe that's why I don't feel as, whatever, proud for that game, obviously, the comeback. I mean, it was amazing. Like I said, Juve is ingrained in my heart. But I've also come to, watch and appreciate another team from Spain. Obviously not at the same level as Sassuolo. And but same kind of thing. It was basically watching a Europa League final and then just seeing this magnificent striker Falcao just dominate. I believe it was
that the
maybe no, I don't think it was the final. I did end up rewatching that final that you're talking about, but I think it was the Super Cup actually against Chelsea, and they just blew them
Oh,
out of the water.
yeah.
And it was like I'm like, who is this team? And then I just did some research, and I've gotten a lot of his jerseys, and now I've kind of followed in. Maybe not as much this year, I would say, because now with the podcast, it's keeping me busy, and I haven't really seen paid attention to their journey this year, which is a little bit unfortunate. But I think it's nice. I like I say, and every time we faced them so far, even in the group stage or in that game, it's Juve number one for me. But it's definitely nice to see other teams having a certain story, and for me, Atletico is a team that's kind of has that same grinta that we've always had, and is kind of
agreed.
treated like an underdog, I would say, because of the other two teams, and we kind of feel. I mean, obviously, we've had a lot of success with Juve, but I still feel that there was always an inferiority between the teams in Milan and us, even though we were so successful. And I think that's a lot of the times why, even in Europe, an inferiority complex, because everyone thought they could always beat us, and we would just smash teams. You can list them, but. So then for Juve, give us kind of a general idea, the generation. Obviously, you told me 14 years before the pod, but kind of when did you start, becoming a fan? Obviously, you don't have to get into incredible detail, but, just who are your favorite players? What really brought you in? Like what kind of time frame?
Yeah, well, it started 2006 around the World Cup.
Okay.
Always with my dad, sitting down with my uncles. Del Piero's really got me into it. Just that goal against Germany is really So since then, it was always kind of hard to watch in America. So like my dad used to just keep up online. It's funnily enough when Krosic signed too. My dad and I loved him at first. And then,
I liked him. I agree.
And of course, that kind of spiraled. But I was very young, so I didn't remember much. So when I really got into it, like became like more than just like a casual fan, it was probably around like 2013, 2014, I would say. When I, got social media, phone and everything, and, became like a teenager, always on social media. That was the one thing I always did was check up with Juve. But definitely Del Piero got me into it. A little bit of Krosic in the middle, but Marquisio as well is up there with Del Piero. I love them. I love those two guys. Such a shame about Marquisio, but definitely those two.
Yeah, someone just posted a tweet about that they cry every day, every time they think about that.
Oh, dude.
We kept Khedira.
I remember when he got sold, when Marquisio got like cut, I woke up, it was like 4 a.m. for me. I saw a tweet like on my home screen. I'm like, I'm dreaming. I'm half asleep. And I woke up 5 hours later and I saw it was real, and I was just like in my bed all day. My mom's like, "You all right?" And I'm like, "I've had it. My heart broke, but."
She was probably like, "Oh, did a girl break up with you or something?"
My mom's like, "Oh, did your girlfriend break up?" I'm like, "No, ask Dad." I was like, "Dad knows." And she was like, "Oh, all right, never mind then."
Yeah, it's funny, I laugh now, but I wasn't laughing. Like you said, same thing in the morning. I usually kind of, there's an outlet right next to when I was living at my parents' house at the time, and I have a charger. Obviously, the outlet's right next to my bed, and obviously you wake up and you see the news. This was still before, I think I was on vacation from work, so I was definitely at home. I do remember this, and pick up the phone, usually scroll through, and I'm like, cut on the last day of the off season. I'm like, are you shitting me?
Like literally that month, he was like, "No, this is the only team I would play for in Italy. I love this team since the start because he's being linked with everywhere else." And I saw that, I'm like, "Oh, you!" And I was like, "Oh, you mother!" I was like, Agnelli.
Oh yeah, I was like, "You fuckers would do this to us." That was my first thing. That was my first thought. It was like, "You fuckers would do this to us on this day, and not even give the guy a chance." And I was like. Yeah, I was ready.
After, when he's like, I was being told I was injured. I'm like, dude, no, don't do this to me.
Yeah, but even with this game, it's funny because it gave me the same disappointment. The same thing happened in this game that happened in the the Milan game. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
look at my phone at work. We're up 2-0 early, and I'm like, "Oh, sweet, we got this. This is done." I look at my phone when I leave work, and I'm like, and I think the game there was still kind of some time on the clock. I don't think it was completely done, and I believe they were up, or I got a notification that said 3-2 Sassuolo, and I'm like, what the fuck is going
Dude.
on with this team? Like,
Yeah,
are we for real?
I got home from work and they put the 2 up, and I was like, okay. I'm like, this can't be Milan, right? I'm thinking to myself, and then and then we just Sassuolo just took over, and I was like, okay, I kind of expected this, but not really. So it's kind of weird because if you look back on my tweets, it's just I'm going back and forth between the two. Like with oh man, it was great. As Tony said, it was the Jake Vinchiguera derby. So
There you go. That's awesome, man. And yeah, no, it's definitely, if you haven't seen, obviously you'll know him on Twitter at Jake Vinchiguera, and your last name is awesome. Every time I read it, it's like perfect, unbelievably Italian last name.
Yeah, you would think. And then I get people who are like, "Oh, you're Spanish?" And I'm like, "No, Karen, sorry. I'm Italian." They're like,
Okay.
"Okay, whatever."
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
But let's get into the news. Obviously the new, if anyone's, have been, perusing around my page at all. Obviously kits are a big thing in my life, obviously merch and all that kind of stuff. And the new kits are supposed to come on July the 30th. I'm guessing it's going to be right before Champions League obviously drops. The first kickoff there, but yeah, what were your thoughts on Juve's new kits? I want to get your opinion. I haven't asked that in a long time.
The home kit, beautiful to me, and I think the away one's the blue, right? The home.
Yes.
I'm so happy the stripes are back. The last good one we had was what 2017, 18 was it? I think was the last good home kit, and that blue away kit, amazing. I might get both. The third one,
What the hell did they do?
I don't know. It looks like someone threw up on it. They had like orange Gatorade. But I saw the third one. I was like, oh, Christ. No. No. We took 2 steps forward here, and we might have just taken like another 3 back. But
have you seen the sleeves on the away kit? Have you seen the images?
isn't it like, was it like the white, wasn't there like stripes on the...
Yeah, it's got like this weird pat. That's why I was almost like, it looked good, and then they added these like weird cuffs on the end of that I was like, okay, that's
like an actual picture. Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see till they start launching everything, and obviously the pictures, and then people start buying kits and posting the actual photos.
Yeah, definitely.
But the home kits, I'll get around to it.
Yeah.
I like how the Serie A is using their own numbers now that has a black outline around the gold. I think that's going to make it look really sharp. Unlike the ones that we've seen that are just gold, I think it just makes it gets too lost in like the white background. I know we're kind of talking about kits like this. It's funny, but yeah, no, I love it. It's to me, like you look at the whole thing and it's like it needs to, it's not just a jersey. It's your identity, right? And
history.
There's a lot about talking. Obviously, removing, this name right here, if you guys can see. I think it's good now. I've changed my opinion, honestly, because, there's a lot of players that don't deserve to have the name on the kit over the heart. Because, just it's been we've gotten some very shambolic performances from guys that are getting paid a lot of money. And I would say there's only a handful of players that deserve to have the name, the badge, whatever, on the shirt. It's, we can get into coach and player, and obviously we'll talk about that when we get into the game, and obviously there's going to be an important kind of a good discussion that's kind of been some content was put out, and we'll get into that later on what we think of it. But obviously for us, we've had the scudetto on our jersey for 300 games as of yesterday. Incredible feat. I hope we go to whatever 10 years in a row, however many games that is. I hope we can get to that.
That would be something.
And like I've been saying, like if we get 10 years, it should just be like a permanent scudetto. Like they should never
Yeah,
take scudetto off
like they do with like
because
Champions League when you get a certain amount.
exactly, or like a gold one or something
Hmm.
like that. Whatever the
Yeah,
hell they
some
want to do.
special star, unless they take it away again. But
Well, yeah, exactly. They'll make some stipulations on how we can celebrate, but honestly, unbelievable. Again, it's going to be interesting though. We're not there yet. We're not over the line even this year.
yep.
Um, but I think that's pretty important. Again, talking about players now in the news, Rugani apparently is the only 100% fit player.
Yeah, I saw that.
Please check out Al's video. It's pretty good. He talks about some key points on why Rugani is so important to us. So if you haven't seen that yet, obviously go on to my profile or check his profile, all Juve-Cast, and he'll tell you why Rugani is so important to us and why we need to keep him. So check that out if you haven't.
I have to check. Yeah, I meant to check it out again this morning. But I got caught up with work.
Yeah,
'Cause
check it out. You'll
I
like
heard
it.
it was a good one. I heard it was very good. Don't spoil
Oh,
it. But
yeah.
I heard it was very good.
I won't spoil it. I won't spoil it for anyone. But so yeah, apparently Chiellini calf, Delict obviously we've known shoulder problems.
Goddamn
Um,
calf.
Bonucci heel. Well, again, it was bringing him too early. I think he shouldn't have played. I get why the faith in one player over the other, but that's what happens when you come back too early. Is you start re-aggravating, and a guy who's prone at that level to re-aggravate injuries, that's what happens. Obviously, Bernardeschi is going to be suspended the next game because of that stupid foul, and we'll get it.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Quadrado will be back, obviously, from his ban. So I think it could be interesting next game how we line up. There's a couple options in my head that we could really go with. Still, obviously, 4-3-3, but obviously Pochettino's been, linked. Obviously, Juve and Inter, merda, because obviously Conte is having, obviously barring the win today, there was been calls for his head, even now. Obviously, our fans have been calling for Sarri's head for quite a long time. Well, maybe not as deep as Allegri out, but it's getting to that.
Yeah, I
point.
was just to say it's definitely getting there.
It's definitely
It's
boiling.
absolutely boiling.
And he doesn't mind the idea. Obviously, this is a Telegraph story, so whatever, take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, Bentancur and Chiellini did get tests. Bentancur, they're going to be evaluated obviously day to day, but ruled out any like big muscle injuries. Obviously, there's nagging stuff that players deal with day to day. I'm guessing that's what Chiellini's going through. Obviously, coming back from the previous injury that's kept him out for so long. There's been a notion, obviously, about, and I got into it with a Juventina about, and it's really pissing me off with this Allegri guys. Please just stop doing it. Stop bringing up the guy's name. Leave him in the grave has been already put in. He's already in the grave. It's done. It's over. The era's done with the guy. Just stop bringing the guy. I just want to put my head through a wall every time I see his name on the Twitter. It's like, and now they're bringing up obviously goals conceded. And you look at the years 20, 24, 23, 24, 20, 27, 24, 30, and then obviously this year 35. And there's still 5 games remaining. So now everyone's making this big deal that, we are letting more goals in. That's
But
facts.
we're scoring
right?
more is what people fail to see. I believe. I think I read a stat that I think right now we scored the most at the previous season, or on pace to, which makes sense considering you're scoring more, you're going to let up in the back because of our high line. Makes sense to me at least, but stats aren't everything, of course.
Well, they aren't, and that's just the thing. But you got to also look at a team. Barcelona, 36 goals against so far. I think they only have a couple games left, so it's a little bit different. But
yeah,
if we start shutting out a couple teams and we actually show up in the next few games, it could be around the same mark as what Barca ends on, and Barca's that style.
Yeah, and you think about how the league has progressed over the years. Like teams like Atalanta, Sassuolo, Lazio, very attacking now. That wasn't the case previously. Even Milan now.
And a lot of confidence and a lot of,
They're not afraid anymore.
unity in the squad. And like I've said, when you get a team like that, that's the difference. I mean, you could talk about Lazio choking all you want, and it's not done yet, guys.
Yeah.
Like
Still 5 games to go, I believe,
we
right?
lose the next game, and it's all to be played for. So
Mhm.
I know there's been, I've even said it a couple times too. These guys have obviously choked it. I honestly didn't think that Sassuolo was going to be. I thought we would have been able to, come out and show up, especially after what happened with Atalanta. That didn't happen at all.
Yep.
And now I'm thinking, are we going to become the chokers? Now that's really something to consider. And I mean, we're still a little bit early. I don't want to get too, deep there, but
yeah.
it's definitely something to throw out there. But yeah, it's crazy. And I just want to look up, obviously Man City apparently has got a full agreement with Ferran Torres, so another guy Juve's losing out in. But somehow management is just going to come unscathed over all of this. Let's as Juve Twitter. Well, not everybody. I mean, there's a lot of people that have really looked to point the finger in the right direction. I find, and then there's a lot of others that are not even mentioning, just going straight to Sarri, which is fine. I mean, that's everybody can have their own opinion. But what do you think about losing out on another player potentially?
I don't know, because
The
he was
status
young.
quo
He's
now.
21, right?
I believe so. Yeah,
I think I saw the release clause was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm not all for just splashing out that much on someone that's not as proven. I'd much rather get him on a free like they're trying to next year, because very little loss there, if any.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's going to Man City with Pep. I mean, who wouldn't deny that?
Yeah.
Young player playing attacking football with Pep Guardiola of all people. So
in Champions League as well.
Yes. Now that they gave that extra money to UEFA or whoever.
Now they somehow got an envelope to the courts, and
Yeah.
all of that is okay now.
It's all situated.
Another thing, even when I look at Man City, they got 35 goals against, and they got 2 games remaining.
Mhm.
So it's nothing. Another thing that I think a lot of people are forgetting, our defense is not the same as prime BBC.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think we need to put the needle back in the right direction.
Yeah, we're come back to earth a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is not the same squad as BBC, guys. And you even look at when Bonucci was playing. It's not the same. It's so different when you have 4 at the back to 3 at the back.
Yeah. And we have a right back.
Exactly. And also when we've had other guys playing the Matuidi on left back and stuff like that.
Mhm.
That's completely different.
Yeah, unfortunately, Pjanic isn't the best defensively as well.
Oh yeah, the guy can't run for anything.
Yep.
I'm surprised. I'm shocked he gave the ball that he did in this game. But we'll get it. Get into
People were. I've never seen that on the timeline. Everyone kept bringing up Bentancur. I'm like, all right, well, hold up.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. That was Pirlo-esque. I'm not gonna lie. I'll give credit where it's due. Obviously, Alessio Tacchinardi had a interview with Tutto Juve. Obviously, I got a couple of the kind of sound bites that Juve FC put on online. Obviously, he was asked, is it all Sarri's fault? He goes, I don't know how much to blame him. The team plays very well for 20 minutes and then disappears from the pitch. We shouldn't just slaughter them. There were blackouts. I think the players have to do more. And I have to agree. Mm-hmm. It's pretty simple in that sense. And there's going to be quite a few examples that I think I'm going to bring up when we go over the game that are going to be clear to that fact. And I think just a lot of the players are not stepping up. And maybe that can mean a loss of dressing room. That's completely one thing. That could be a thing. So I'm not saying that Sarri hasn't. And I don't know why there's this notion that a lot of people are thinking that no one's giving Sarri shit for what he's doing. Not completely smashing the guy into pieces after 1 year is another thing. Realizing where Juve is and what the management has done is another thing. And it's just driving me crazy. Like, it's like, oh, well, and then they'll bring up Allegri as like somehow the last 2 seasons with Allegri were the golden years of Juve, which they weren't.
They're like right after Cardiff is where that decline happened.
So
my
I don't
personal
know how Juve's first 2 years are being conflated into his whole reign was amazing because we won doppietas and because we won a scudetto in his last year. Sorry guys, that's not that's a false equivalence right there. And secondly, you're assuming that we would have been better, or we're assuming that, again, the memory's kind of short. And let me remind some of you guys, you say that, oh, we defended. We looked trash in a lot of those 1-0 wins that we had. We talked about,
that we grinded out.
we locked down these games, and Allegri knew how to win 1-0. Allegri couldn't. I don't remember a game that Allegri scored 3-0. Maybe the Atletico comeback. That's the only thing that comes to my head. But there's a lot of shitty performances as well that no one wants to talk about. And I just like it's a every time we go back to Allegri, it's like I gotta grind the same gears that I've been grinding for the past 2 years, and it makes no sense to even think of bringing up Allegri. It's a completely different situation. Completely different situation.
Yeah, I think at the end everything kind of just burnt out with him. I think definitely Cardiff was that breaking point, because right after that we noticed, in especially big games like Napoli, the Koulibaly header. That was another good one where we kind of just did nothing for the full 90, and it paid, and then of course there was,
and then they choked
and then of course the year after Cardiff with Madrid in the quarterfinals, was it?
Yeah,
quarters. Yep, where we lost 3-0, and then we tie it 3, and then nothing for like 30 minutes.
Yep.
Matuidi scores a third, and then you're expecting, all right, 2 more subs. We're gonna keep pushing. We're away. We're in Madrid. No, I think he played way too passive. He was way too passive.
Well, and a lot of the time, again, it's all hindsight is 2020. It's easy to say when you've won those games. Oh yeah, I trust Allegri. If we're 1-0, I know we're gonna win a game. He drew a hell of a lot of games too. Don't kid yourself in that where we've had to come back. And like I said, in all of those games that we've sat back, I remember everybody criticizing Allegri and saying how shit we looked. And now all of a sudden, this is the golden example. Use Real Madrid. Use Real Madrid 3 Champions League as an example. Use Klopp, although 5 years now of Klopp, £425 million spent. Klopp as an example. So yeah, sure, they got cohesion, but it's the same thing. So again, I'm not trying to kiss Sarri's ass. I've said my piece. I don't think his caliber is enough. I don't think he's a good enough coach at all. His caliber's not there. He's not pragmatic, and we knew that. Again, you can go watch a few episodes ago when was it? And the Coppa Italia stuff, we talked about it. He's not the right guy. Now, what you want to do? You want to talk about players? We'll get into that after, because that's kind of a decent, some decent takes. Some takes I don't necessarily agree with, but I think Eric did a good video. Obviously, let's get back to Tacchinardi. Flat midfield. He would like to see younger players with a greater hunger for victories in the next Juve. Feeling that this cycle will end at the end of this season, even if the team is still in first, which it could be, right? Who knows what the situation is going to be, and even if we win the CL or not. Obviously, surely the current midfield, which isn't at a European level, will have to be changed. This is a department that is struggling to attack and defend. I think Paratici isn't at fault. I'd have taken Ramsey and Rabiot too. I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that.
I agree with that. I agree with Ramsey and Rabiot.
See, I don't know. I think you look at those valuations, and it still comes down to, sometimes I don't know, when let's say you buy something. Like look in reality, right? You want to buy something, you can't necessarily afford the best, right? But we're not talking about a club that is, everybody's saying the financials are great. So I'm going to go with that notion and say we're okay. So would you not invest in someone that's that much better of quality, or, try and take a gamble because we know we can do it in the past? And I think that's what that was. Obviously, Rabiot's looked really good as of late.
Yeah.
Ramsey, I don't think is necessarily there. He's had spurts.
Mhm.
We haven't really seen enough of him to really judge, if you want to say.
Yeah.
I'm still not keen on the guy. I think we still need to make, and like he said, and a lot of other players past Juve players have said it. The midfield is not of European level.
Absolutely. It hasn't been for a
The
while.
quality
since,
is not there.
ever since the final against Barca, really. Pirlo, Vidal, Marquisio, Pogba.
Okay, so I was asked
Yeah.
the question. Let's bring this up now. Actually, let's bring it up. So Monica Lariola,
Ah.
we've gone a lot back and forth over the Allegri stuff. That's fine. But she made a point that the 17-18 mid was worse than this mid, and I don't see it though. I can't. I think. Let me try and get the players up quickly. But from what you
pulling
can
up my
remember,
head.
what can you remember? Obviously, out of the would you take the Cardiff final midfield or this midfield?
So if I remember correctly, the Cardiff final, it was Pjanic and Kadir was healthy.
Yep.
But then I'm struggling to see who was off to the left.
Here we go. I'll give it to you
no.
right here.
No, wait, or was it that? Or was that when we had the
So
4-5, like the 4-2-3-1?
I'll give it to you now. I just thought about this, so that's kind of why I'm bringing it up, guys. Bad podcast host. Pjanic obviously 18 and he was in 17, 18. He was in now. Obviously, Bentancur's a player now. We had Khedira then. Khedira obviously played then and now. We also had Sturaro. We also had Lemina. We also had Marquisio.
God, no, it's coming back to me. Oh,
And we also had Rincon. As
Oh,
a mid.
I
This
remember.
midfielder, Matuidi, obviously Bentancur, Ramsey, Rabiot, Khedira of 2020, and Pjanic of 2020.
I remember watching that final and seeing Rincon come on, and I was like, oh God, I'd add the 17-18 midfield to me was definitely worse than the current one by far to me, because this midfield has more depth on paper, as in instead of taking off Pjanic and throwing on Lemina or Rincon, now we can take off Pjanic, throw Bentancur in there, and we can throw Ramsey on the right. If we don't want that, we can throw Rabiot. If we don't want that, well, everyone's hurt. But still, we have that promising youngster, what was his name, Moratore, but I think he's going off to Atalanta. I mean, better than Lemina and Rincon, obviously. Of course, Marquisio is great. He's better than anyone on one leg, even. But I'm taking this midfield over that one any day, because I could not stand that midfield, especially even before we had Hernandez. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes,
Yeah. No, this midfield over that one any day of the week, in my opinion.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you, Jake.
Really?
So listen, hear me out. I like what you said though. On paper, this team is more talented than that team. I agree. But the team that's most talented on paper doesn't always win you the game. AKA Juve getting to that final. Obviously, we lost against Real Madrid.
Yeah.
But we smashed with that midfield Barcelona. And you could say they have a down year. Okay, that's fine. I'll give you that as an exception. The difference between this midfield now and that midfield then is the intangibles. That team, as much as you want to say they are garbage players, I think they have more respect because of what they were to this team than these players do. Obviously, Ramsey, I think, has glass knees. I mean, it's kind of shown.
Yeah,
because he hasn't been healthy.
Ever since that broken leg years ago. Absolutely.
Rabiot is turning the corner for me a little bit. I'm liking it a little bit more.
I think people forget he didn't play at all last year.
Right.
Really is where that comes from.
That's fair. So Rabiot, again, that's more you could play it. Bentancur, I agree. But to compare him to Marquisio, that's a tough.
Yeah, no,
that's a tough sell.
I don't. Yeah, no, because Marquisio can play anywhere in the midfield, as we've seen literally over years. He's played as a 10. He's played as the regista. He's played as an 8. He can do anything. But
Pjanic that year, prime Pjanic.
Yes.
Pjanic this year, garbage.
Yeah, good point.
Khedira that year, I will actually give credit and say he was actually really good that year, those years. This year, goodbye.
it's not even
Get
there.
the fuck out of here.
I don't know, because part of me also thinks that Mandzukic is also a big factor in how well
True.
that field
I'll-
activated.
I'll
how
take that.
it
I'll
worked,
take it.
because he did all the work on the left there. He was up and down at left back at times. Like he was in the box, in our box,
Yeah.
most of the time, defending
That's
as
what
well.
I mean. That could,
Like-
the cohesion, man.
Yeah.
That's when you get a good team going all together. There's nothing. It's all just a shamble of parts with this team, and it all starts with Ronaldo. And I knew this was gonna happen, guys. I knew it. I knew this was gonna fucking happen. It becomes all individuals, but we still have a little bit to play. So
Mhm.
I could be wrong. I want to be wrong, guys. I told you I want to
Yeah.
be wrong. I want to
It's
be
best.
wrong.
I agree.
I've said that on every time I've said, prove me wrong. I have no problem eating crow. I have no problem being like, you know what, guys, bad take. That was an incredible decision. I still don't until we win the Champions League. It's not a great decision because we could have with that
we should
money
have
we
won that
spent.
final. We should have won that
We
final.
should have. We should. But
Yeah.
again, let's not open up that can of
No,
worms.
I'm not getting into that.
Obviously, there was some interesting stuff on Twitter that got released. Obviously, Ivan from the I believe a co-founder of the Bianconeri YYZ, obviously the official fan club that I'm a part of. He was they had, obviously I couldn't make the viewing party or the post-game kind of virtual meetup discussing the Sassuolo game, but apparently Giuseppe Bognani dropped a bombshell, and apparently Paratici. Now I don't take this with a grain of salt, guys. I don't know what sources confirm this. I wasn't there to hear it. 99.9% out for Paratici and Sarri if they can't sort out his contract. I don't know
Really?
I don't know where this information. This
yeah,
is way out.
I don't believe
Apparently
that one bit
there's
about him.
there's
About
a big-
Paratici.
Yeah, I don't see it. Big reorganization underway. And apparently it was two sources that I don't know confirmed it. And I hope one of them wasn't Monblano, because if that's the case, toss that in the bin right now, because that is just garbage.
Yeah, no, he's just taking shots in the dark, and he lands a couple.
Yeah, I mean, like, sure.
Fuck.
I mean, Messi could be coming too. I mean, Guardiola, Zidane.
Yeah.
Like, I could start dropping names left and right on this too, and
Eventually we'll get it.
be right once. But also,
Right twice a day.
because obviously Marco Rey, who was our CFO, was obviously left, right?
Mhm.
He was removed, and obviously another. I discussed it last. So is that I was kind of suggesting, well, is that kind of the beginning of the end? Is this kind of what the shuffling is about? I mean, if what I was looking at with the financials, I mean, I could understand why this guy's gone, because we were down 50 million at the halfway point.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, net. I'm not talking
yeah. I remember
our
seeing.
cost for 50 million. I'm talking about net. We were down 50, which means if that would have held to the end of the season, that breaks FFP, because we've had 3 consecutive years in the red over 30 million euros. So,
Man City can't get out of that.
well, exactly, and that's what I'm worried about, because we're an Italian team.
yeah.
They don't treat Italian teams
So
like
what
they
happened
treat
with the Milan clubs because of
Exactly.
it? So
Exactly. It's bullshit. And
Yeah,
even as much
exactly.
as much as I hate merda, that shit shouldn't be a standard, and that's a vergogna to the highest level
it's
of the
a fucking,
CAS.
yeah. It's
of
fucking
CAS.
it's ridiculous, because you see
So-
again all those English teams just dropping bombs in the transfer market, and then everyone else is just like, go fuck yourself.
But apparently, Agnelli was asked to believe in the vision. Obviously, his best friend Allegri was fired, so now obviously heads are going to roll because Nedved and Paratici weren't right. And I mean, I guess somehow we believe that Agnelli has more football knowledge than Nedved does.
Yeah,
I don't know about that, guys. I don't know what's crack you guys are smoking. This guy's a billionaire. This guy's was handed the keys at the most opportune time. I made this example. If I bought a whole bunch of stocks after 2008, the collapse, and now I'm up, the S&P at one point was, when we were at our max, was up 500%. That's not a genius move, I'll tell you that much. That's just common sense that the market's going to go back and higher.
Yeah, he's a great businessman, but I don't really necessarily think when it comes to football,
I don't know.
Yeah, I think he knows his place.
He's made a lot of questionable decisions, and for him to somehow be outraged now because he's seeing this while leaving the midfield for 5 years barren and not doing anything, I don't see that being the case. So that's my take, guys. You guys take with that information what you will. We'll see what happens. There's still a long way to go, a couple months to be exact, before some of that stuff could be unfolding. But let's wait and see. The news will be dropping, and you'll be hearing it here and obviously on a bunch of other platforms when it drops. A very interesting thing, obviously, they took a total of the points from I believe it was the second half of the season. Mm-hmm. And it showed us to be from the restart, excuse me, not because it shows June 16th. So yeah, from June 16th, obviously, to now, Atalanta being in first place, 22 points. Milan in second with 17. Sassuolo, 15, third place. And obviously Juve and Merida, fourth and fifth. Napoli as well with 14 points, sixth. But yeah, it's definitely not the best. I don't think we played dominant. Well, how have you thought we started off this restart? Because I like to get everyone's opinion on that, because I think everybody kind of saw it a little bit differently. For me, I thought there were good performances, but I thought there was situations that we could get in trouble in, and they've played out exactly how I've saw us getting into trouble against teams that were going to play the way that I thought they were going to play. But what did you think? What did you think about?
I mean, I think we started off horribly with the first two against Milan and Napoli, obviously. But as we went on, I believe it was, what was the game after that? Was it Genoa was a little bit later. But once we got into the league, I feel like
first game was Bologna.
Yeah.
Bologna.
I think there were really good performances, and is what I was hoping to see as we went along. Obviously against Genoa, we've always struggled with, and Bologna, I honestly really thought we were going to struggle with, because they play a really good, not Atalanta's like Sassuolo level, but a good, confident attacking football, especially with Mihailovic at the helm. But I thought those performances really well. We actually looked like a team, in my opinion. We controlled the game. But then that Milan game happened, and it's been free fall ever since. I don't know what the hell happened. I don't know if it's just like a culture, it's just like a shock to the system. But up until the Milan game, post Copa final, I thought we were playing great.
Okay.
Milan game after, no.
This is my take. And obviously you've seen an interaction between me and Mr. Toilet Squeegee. And yes, that's a wink. Haha, it's a joke. Relax. But he's probably not going to be watching these because, he likes to take personal digs instead of bring the facts. But anyways, we got into a discussion, and he brings up obviously 4 dominant performances, and that was a sticking point for me. 4 dominant performances. Okay, the Lecce game, they were down to 10 men. The game against Torino wasn't. I don't think it was dominant. I think 2 goals of brilliance that really got it for us. Really individual brilliance got us that game. And Torino had a lot of chances, and again, even in the Bologna game, they had some chances at the beginning, and I saw teams that would literally sit back 5 deep and narrow, what looked like what we were doing in this game against Sassuolo, and what we were also doing against Atalanta and Milan when we shut off. And I was just I'm like, when teams start pressing our players and really getting into their faces, it's going to be a completely different story. We're not going to be able to put the ball around as well and play however we like, and Pjanic sit just outside the box. That's not going to happen, and it's been proven. And so that was my contingent point. The argument that I got against saying 4 dominant games is because of the history. What does the history have to do? You saw the games with your eyes. Obviously, you thought we played great. That's fine. Again, I could see it differently. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we did. I thought we did play good. I thought we played good in the context of we're playing lower table teams, so we should be better than these teams. That's the context that I saw it in. So it's not necessarily that you're playing great. You're playing great more of because the quality isn't up to par against you, and they're allowing you to do things that greater teams won't let you do, like what we've seen with Milan, Atalanta, Sassuolo. So that's my thought. And to me, like to say, yeah, well, I said Genoa historically has been good enough. And then in the post-match, I said exactly, they laid down. They sat narrow. They sat 5 back. You can't do that. Look at Juve against Real Madrid. A team with that quality, you cannot sit for that long. You have to show something. And even when they did try, we were just too overpowering that they couldn't even do much until, Torino, a little bit different. They had their chances. But again, I didn't see those as, wow, dominance in the performances, for me at least. Now, obviously, like you said, free fall. There's games left. Obviously, Spal lost today to Berda. So they're 6 back. Someone said 6.5, and I kind of laughed because obviously it was I'm like, okay, sure. If you want to think of that. Obviously, we need 10 points out of 15. That's kind of daunting. But it starts with Lazio. This is going to be really tight. It's going to be really tight. And I'm worried. Like I said, I believe in this team till the end. Fino alla fine. I can say all of that. But if you ask me, Daniel, personally, how are you feeling about this? Hey, I'm stopping and thinking now. I'm stopping and saying, there's a real possibility. Now, if we go out and we smash Lazio, then okay, then things change, right? Where you add another piece to the formula, and it spits out a different answer. So again, we got to see how they come out. But if they don't come out like they did the last 2-3 games, good luck, because Lazio is just as desperate as we are to get something going again, because they've played even worse than we've played after the restart. So
I don't know. Here's the thing. A couple years ago, what was it? 3 years ago, might have, when we were sitting 11th in November.
Yeah.
Ironically, after losing 1-0 to Sassuolo, Sansone, amazing free kick, by the way, brilliant goal.
If what I hear, if what you're trying to say is true,
dude, I have full confidence that we can see out the season and win. Personally, if we can go back from 11th place in November, and win the title at the end of the season, even more recently, you think of Napoli, where the Koulibaly had her 1-0 at home, we lost. We've had closer title races, and we've seen it through. I'm still confident we can get through this. Lazio have been in worse form than us. We're looking at it. I'm confident. I'm going to put that out there. People can rip me all they want if at the end of the season we do lose it, but we've had way worse. There's no reason why we can't see the season out, especially when you're looking at our schedule ahead and you're seeing Lazio are down. Roma we can definitely handle.
Yeah.
Because they're very shaky. I think we play Napoli too.
No,
I believe.
No, we're done with those boys. Udinese, Samp, Cagliari. I think those 3 are definitely.
Yeah, those were the 3. Yep. And Cagliari have been ever since December, I think.
Yeah.
They've been in shaky form. I think we can see out those games.
Yeah.
I think we're definitely getting the 12 points. I definitely think the straight next 4 games are going to be wins, in my opinion.
But I hope. I really hope, man.
Honestly, being 11th in November and then still winning the title,
no, I definitely agree. I agree with you, Jake. I think we got the I've been saying. I thought we were going to smash Sassuolo. Like, I really believed it. I thought we were going to come out and just be like, you know what? Fuck this. We're going to take this thing over, and we're going to just dominate this game and just have a great bounce back. And it wasn't. So that's kind of what's put me aback.
Yeah, I understand, but you have to remember that Sassuolo and Atlanta played very, very similar. True. Like De Zerbi's doing a great job since he came in a year or 2 ago. And just, like, they believe is a thing. It's all confidence. Like these smaller teams like Sassuolo and Atalanta, they know they can punch above their weight. I mean, Sassuolo just came off the back of beating Lazio, of all teams, 2-1. they had all the confidence in the world coming in. Us, no, it didn't look like that at all. But I think people forget about that is how teams aren't scared anymore. You think back early days of Conte, teams were sitting back like we're talking about. They didn't want to attack. They didn't want to go for it. But now it's wide open.
Yeah, it was weird because that's how I thought this whole thing was going to start, and it really didn't. And then now, the only thing that the next thing that comes up with, obviously, we'll get into the game, guys. We've been talking. It's been a really good conversation so far. But no, I definitely think that those 2 games against Lazio that we lost within a week of each other really mean something. You know, they kind of know the blueprint, so that's the only thing that I get worried about being in the next game. Obviously, like you said, we needed 10. Like I said, 10 out of 15, and I believe the points are there. But if the slide continues, it's definitely then you start questioning those next games against Udinese. Udinese drew Lazio just recently. Sampdoria is looking to for safety basically because they're dropping towards the relegation zone. Cagliari I don't think is that far, but I'm sure they're within reach. And then Roma, you know, they might have some they might want to depending on where Lazio is. Depends on how they how they're going to play.
Oh yeah, it depends where Lazio is and how far Napoli is behind them because I think they themselves see Phil trolling them. Love him so much. Love those tweets.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet the back and forth. Except when, you know, Phil gets a little defensive too. Let's come on, Phil. Show a little bit, show some back and forth, buddy.
We all do sometimes. I don't blame him.
No, but he goes at Merda and he goes at Roma head on, man. Gotta give that guy the credit he deserves.
He goes after us. He goes after. He doesn't care.
I expect that. I expect that from Napoli. Lovely. The little brother needs to speak up every so often.
Phil, keep doing what you're doing. If you ever watch this, just keep doing it.
Exactly. I'm gonna name drop him. But let's get into the formation of this game. Obviously, typical 4-3-3 for us. The surprise for me was Chiellini. I definitely expected, I guess Bonucci wasn't ready, and that's why he didn't take the field. But I definitely expected Rugani to start then.
Yeah, so did I.
If that was the case. Ridiculous, eh? I don't know. What do you think about that? I thought it was a bad decision in my opinion. I agree.
Yeah, because I read somewhere that Chiellini didn't even train yet with the first team, or he just got back. Like,
oh my god,
I don't know why you would risk someone like that who's coming off an ACL injury. He's in his mid-30s. I'd much rather put Rugani in because at the end of the day, he wasted he didn't waste. Well, I guess he did, yeah, because you're only allowed 5 players, 3 stoppages. But no, it was definitely a waste, and obviously kind of backfired with that calf sprain. But it made no sense to me why you would throw a middle-aged man, not middle-aged, but mid-30s, coming off an ACL injury, hasn't trained over the fit, who doesn't really have that big of an injury record.
Which, for 60 minutes, he was all right against Milan. Mm-hmm. Okay? That's what I'm going to say. There's a lot of people ripping into the guy. I'm not going to go to that level. I know where he is. I know where he belongs.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into that because it's really, again, I don't, exactly. In that case. But yeah, for someone to be, again, like you said, who wasn't really training, that is so key. We look at all the games that we played, and his record is quite impeccable when he's on the pitch. How many games we actually win. And you look at that and you say, is it against Sassuolo? Is it even if we lost? It's not like, even if we lost, it's what do you risk that? That's such a stupid move.
And especially Champions League coming back in a month too.
Exactly.
You think, have him train, get the full fitness, throw him in for little cameos because we need him for the actual bigger games. We still have to go to Lyon, not go to Lyon, but play Lyon in the Champions League. That's what I would have been searching, looking at. Not for, risking him against Sassuolo. No offense, but, you have Rugani. He's fully fit. There's no reason not to throw him in there.
And give him more time. Give him another chance.
He was great with him at Empoli.
I think if he would have started that game, I think you start. And again, I'm probably going to get roasted for this, whatever. if you start bringing you show the faith in the kid.
Mhm.
And you start putting him in. That's what I hated with Allegri, even with Marquise. He would play him 1 month,
Yeah.
and then he wouldn't play him for another 3 months. And then we'd be like, oh, you had such a horrible performance. I wonder why. I mean, training doesn't mean nothing.
Yeah,
So
and it's
show the
interesting you bring
faith.
that up.
Show the faith.
It's interesting because that same situation happened with Rugani. He was stuck behind BBC, and there's plenty of
Yep.
chances to play him. I mean, what I always bring to look back on is the Roma game when Dzeko was a fucking monster that season. I think he had 30 goals. I think it might have been. I forget what season that was. Maybe
so.
3 or 4 years ago. Rugani just kept him in his pocket, and then after that, it was just nothing.
Yeah, I think the faith needs to be shown.
Yeah.
And then you know what? At the end of the day, again, it's a perfect situation, like you said. At the end of the day, if it doesn't work, whatever. We cut our losses. That's fine. That's not a big deal. Chiellini gets healthy. He doesn't risk his calf. Nothing.
Yep.
And I mean, who knows? You could say, oh, well, Chiellini will get hurt in another game. Fine, whatever. But I don't see you see him. You don't risk it for this game. I think that's stupid.
Yeah.
Then Alexandro obviously came in the left back. Again, a guy that really I don't think has been in a lot of training either. Obviously, we were kind of forced to do that because I don't want to see Matuidi ever in the. Well, I'll get to that next. But I don't want to see him there. And then obviously Danilo was on the right. It's expected. That's the position he likes to play. Then we had Bentancur, Pjanic, Matuidi. I'm going to say this right now. Maybe I never want to see Matuidi start a game ever. Sub, no problem. To be a horror.
Close out a game.
To close out, to win balls, make tackles when we need. That's fine. I have no problem. I respect the guy. I don't want to see him start it. That to me was a big issue starting. And you could see when, the pace kind of picked up towards the end of the game, I would say he did look better. But when Dybala was not on the field, he did not look good at all. See,
for me, I like Matuidi in the sense that his role is to cover Ronaldo's ass on the left wing because Ronaldo doesn't track back like Mandzukic did.
Yeah.
My issue with it is giving him the ball.
Yeah.
And he should literally just be how Conte was when he first went to Chelsea and at Leicester. Win the ball back, give it to someone that can pass the ball. And that should be it. But seeing him make these runs, these runs on the left wing, and he controls it, and then 5 seconds later, he actually has the ball on the ground.
Yeah.
That's where I have the issue. Closing out games, like you said, off the bench, it makes sense. I'd rather him defend than go forward. But for some reason, he's going forward. He's the one trying to create what he shouldn't be. His best, to me, take it with a grain of salt. I don't know anything about sports, as much as the actual people that studied it and or have jobs in it. But
trust me, we're not talking rocket science here.
Yeah,
a lot of people like to say that, but anyways,
just strictly stay on the left flank. Just have Ronaldo run up, and you just sit there. Don't follow him. Just stay here, please. For the love of God, just cover. I think that's why I like him, because I don't think anyone else can do it as well as he does. Maybe Rabiot, but he's a lot more creative. But a player like that shouldn't need to be up in the final third.
Yeah, and I think with Ramsey isn't really trusted enough, and maybe doesn't have the legs yet, and I think that's why he's not starting. And then again, Rabiot, I think that would be perfect as well. Those three as your starters, and then bring them on later. What I've been noticing, and it's been a contentious kind of thing back and forth between me and Al on this Alexandro thing. If you looked in this game, and you talk about covering, right? So Matuidi he's making those runs. Well, now what's happening is Alexandro, and everyone's like, well, why isn't Sandro going up to the run? He does occasionally when he gets the opportunity, but he's almost sliding in as a third center back.
Yeah,
coverage.
He comes inside. Yeah,
and really, we're only working it to the right side. So I think that's got to be a set thing. I don't think that's him deciding to do that.
I agree.
I think that's definitely a tactic that's being instilled to cover for Ronaldo going up and Matuidi going up on the left, and then giving more freedom on the right side for Danilo to make runs on that side, or Cuadrado.
It's great you mentioned that, because that's exactly how it was at Napoli and Chelsea, because on the left he had Hazard moving up and Insigne moving up, and everything was off to the right. And, of course, Goulam was better at the time, but he also had better fullbacks at Napoli too, which made it work. But
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened at Napoli. It's exactly what happened at Chelsea, and now it's happening here. The issue is, I don't really think our right side has the quality
Yeah,
to do what they
I
used to do.
agree. I
But
agree. And as good as Bernardeschi has been making runs,
yeah,
I
and off
see
the
him.
ball, he's been great pressing. But
I just don't think it's not good enough.
I agree.
It's not good
Yeah,
enough. And
he
I mean, so
needs.
we saw obviously again another shocker to me was the Higuain start, and I guess maybe a rest for
Yeah,
Dybala.
it made sense to me. I don't think because Higuain's always been great against Sassuolo, of course, but you can't entirely go off the past. But
R-
he was due for a start at some
Right.
point. So, and get him some game time, getting him some fitness, some confidence at this goal.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't work now without the Dybala in that team. As the striker, he puts everything together. He's the one linking. Higuain can't do that like the Dybala can. He can't link that midfield
Right.
to our final third because Ronaldo's not dropping back.
Yeah.
Ronaldo's still trying to go up, and Bernardeschi doesn't offer anything creative wise. He can
Yeah.
press it all he wants and run and make his stupid fouls, but without the Bila, that it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I agree.
Well, obviously, I want the Bila on the team, but someone
Yeah.
else needs to take that burden.
Right. So let's now. Obviously, we have a resident Sassuolo expert, and there was a reason. Obviously, I brought you on. It was no
Yeah.
coincidence. So obviously, Sassuolo 4-2-3-1. Consigli in goal. Mulder, Peluso, Chiriches, and Kyriakopoulos. Obviously, he came in for Rogerio because I believe he had a knock in training ahead, which I did talk about in the preview. But so I didn't know. Obviously, I heard that from the commentators, and they confirmed that he didn't obviously then start. You had Locatelli and Manganelli in the holding roles. Obviously, Berardi, Juricic, Boga, and obviously Caputo as the lone striker up top. Now, obviously, this has been something that Sassuolo's been building on. This is their formation, you would say.
Yeah, they've been doing
And obviously
a lot.
their record
The
is
4-3-3.
their record kind of speaks for itself. Obviously, winning the last 4 games, correct, before we played them. So,
Yep.
kind of what you expected when you saw the when you saw the lineup, Jake.
I was more expecting DeFrel because he's been playing as the 10 more recently,
Oh, okay.
but
I
George
think
is
he's hurt.
fine.
No?
Yeah, he came on as a sub later on for Chicho, I think. So
Okay, must have been a wrong report then,
yeah,
or my bad.
yeah, no, it's fine. I also kind of expected Barabia to play as the other pivot instead of Magnelli, but
Oh,
I was surprised, to see him starting because Magnelli's. I think he's up there. I think he's in like around Chiellini's age. But
yeah, as a holding, yeah, that's
yeah, no, yeah, he's been there since I think like 2004, I believe. But
okay.
no, fully expected the front three of Chicho, Berardi, and Boga. Boga had a disappointing game, but the other two definitely showed up, of course, and even Juricic as
Yeah.
a 10. But no, that's classic. It's either the 4-2-3-1 or he runs with the 4-3-3.
Okay, yeah, no, definitely, yeah, I agree with that. Like you said, Boga was definitely quiet in this game.
Yeah.
Definitely, that is a good take on that one. So let's get in kind of minute by minute. We'll kind of go over the whole game now and what kind of events. Obviously, I've got a lot of stuff written down. So we'll kind of discuss, maybe 20, 30-minute chunks at a time. Again, at the beginning, it was kind of an early back and forth. It wasn't necessarily too much of a, one team sitting back.
Yeah,
It seemed
was
like
end to end.
end to end. And then right at the beginning, I could not believe this. Play from the corner. Pjanic puts a ball over the top and fucking Danilo just drills it.
Yeah, I was shocked. I mean,
And
because we suck at set pieces.
exactly.
And it's funny because I was like, if you follow me on Twitter and if you just so happen to catch me live tweeting for a Sassuolo game, they are worse at set pieces. So I was not surprised when that happened because they look clueless. I think the goal they conceded against Lazio might have been a set piece as well.
Okay.
But to be that bad at defending set pieces to have Juve score on you, it says something. I mean, the Danilo strike was great. Consigli didn't see it because of all the crowded, but that looked like it was right off the. Like they definitely practiced that.
Yeah.
To me,
Exactly.
Definitely. But no one was expecting that.
No.
Like,
Obviously a little bit early. I believe there was De Ligt was again there was a lot of talk about is De Ligt was he going to be the answer? And again I think it's when you look at obviously with the Atalanta game in mind. Obviously I didn't do a preview. I didn't do a post game for that. I was relaxing by a pool, and obviously I watched the game, but it's not necessarily that one guy. Like you can't just say, the reason why Milan happened was because De Ligt wasn't there. The defense is a collective. You got to be a collective unit. Okay, when guys are gonna make mistakes, you got to play off each other.
Yeah.
Things are gonna happen. No one's perfect. So again, a little bit it started. So that's kind of was showing me, okay, it is what it is. I think our defense, that then it starts saying, our defense isn't as good as it used to be, and I think that's what we have the bar set so high that it's still getting used to.
I think with the Milan game and that Atlanta game with De Ligt, I think that goal. Well, I think it was Kessie with the picture of like Bonucci, kind of like throwing it back on him. I think if De Ligt was there, that wasn't going to happen because if you notice,
I agree.
De Ligt was man marking. De Ligt was man marking Zapata because they are like almost the same in size. Like De Ligt is like literally the Hulk. I mean, just like Zapata. And the only reason why he scored was because they did a switch. Yeah. And I think it was Bentancur that got tossed around. But I definitely think that he obviously impacts that defense just because of his size. Because we finally have a guy other than Collini that can take on these big dudes. Because as we've seen with Bonucci, he just gets mugged off every time. It feels like.
Yeah.
But
I don't mean like I said.
Oh
he's been outstanding. My point in that is there is definitely, and you look at moments in this game where they were playing a lot of 1-2s and getting in between, whether it was Chiellini and De Ligt or whether it was De Ligt and Rugani or the fullbacks or whatever. So again, that was it's like, again, you got to play as a unit. Yeah. And it's more than just, again, like you said, on that particular instance, I agree. De Ligt probably wouldn't have let that happen. He wouldn't have let a guy run through him.
Yeah, and that stems from playing time as well, like knowing where the guy is, because Bonucci and De Ligt we've seen have so far developed a really good chemistry with each other when it comes to that. And obviously, this is what happens when you don't play the one center back and the other one's injured.
Yep.
I do agree with that, yeah.
9th minute, obviously, Bernardeschi winning fouls. I was actually quite impressed at the beginning.
Yeah.
But then Ronaldo takes it and off the wall. Shocker, guys.
I thought he changed. I was hoping. I was like, please. I'm like, curl it. Can you curl it?
1 for 44.
Yeah.
Actually, I gotta have a counter on that. But anyways, that's something for the future.
Like 2% or something like that conversion rate.
Then in the 12th minute, guys, perfect start or what? Pjanic just somehow harnesses Pirlo in himself. Blind ball. Obviously, the run was, that's something you practice, right? Obviously, throw the ball up there. Higuain makes a great run and gets it behind the defender, puts it home. Defender did leave him, so I would say it was a defensive error. I believe it was Chirich's 2-0 Juve.
Yeah,
and we're smiles on our face.
To see him score again.
But you know what the funny thing is? Just after that, again, defenders fall asleep.
Yep.
There was a 1-2. Caputo makes a run, and obviously
that was all him. I don't know if anyone else saw it other than me, freaking out. The turn he had to somehow he was falling, of course, but I think it was on De Ligt as well. Ironically enough, after I was just praising him, but.
Oh, but that's what I mean. Defenders are prone to some mistakes sometimes,
to
right?
Fall back like this and to get your foot on that to redirect it, it was brilliant. I was loving it. Well,
Yeah,
not,
no, man.
yeah.
A game he was torn
It
between
was
two.
beautiful.
And then obviously in the I don't know what it was, but in the 20th minute, they panned to like Higuain,
Mhm.
and he looked gassed. Like I don't know if anyone else noticed this.
I didn't notice that.
I
Really?
swear he just the body language he was giving me looked gassed already, and I'm
Oh
like,
no, that's a.
okay,
I have to
that's
go back and look then, because
check it out,
that's
check it out, see
worrying.
if you see
That's
it.
very worrying.
Then obviously 21st minute, Ronaldo, he gets that. I believe it was the defender made a dumb play or the goalkeeper made a stupid play.
Yeah,
Ball
and he
bounces
tried.
wide, misses the empty net.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Like you gotta be like, this is what we paid the guy for. Put the ball in the net.
Yeah, go for it.
Sassuolo can move the ball around. That's
Yep.
what I have written.
Yeah, they
Passes are great.
yeah, like I said, they play Sarri ball better than Sarri himself right now.
And no pressing up top.
Like it's Locatelli's key to that, because I think we had what? I had to pull up the stats. I bookmarked it. Believe it was. Let me look here. 108 touches, 98 pass accuracy, 92 passes, 8 out of 8 accurate long balls. The midfield runs off of him, and seeing people on Twitter criticizing us being interested in him hurts me, because he is, to me, one of the most underrated midfielders in the league, because consistently putting in these top performances and being that anchor, that pivot in the midfield, which we need. And we have Arthur, which is good, but it's always good to have a good backup and someone else that can play alongside him, which he can do. But Locatelli in that midfield, he runs their midfield, if you notice. I mean, 108 touches alone.
Yep.
He's the one spraying everything. If you notice, they all go back to him, but he's key to that midfield and how they play. And of course, obviously, you have like Zaboga and Berardi, who also are used to that. But without Locatelli, that system does not work as well. It's not going to be up to par. But they play beautiful. It's beautiful.
Guys, inside take. There you go. Someone who watches the team, and it's nice to hear, because I'm not going to say I watch every team. I didn't watch Artur play. I don't watch. There's guys that I like to see, and I watch different games, but you're not going to see every game. So that's great to hear that piece. And yeah, again, we've been linked. So. I take your word for him, and it's almost a renaissance, like a renaissance with the player, because kind of what he's gone through, obviously with Milan, and then he kind of moved on, and now it seems like things are really changing for the better for him.
Yeah, the kid has balls. I mean, he literally said to Milan, he's like, "Look, you're my boyhood club, but I'm not playing here. Yeah. I want the move." And originally it was between Juve, I remember, and then we eventually passed on it. Right. And then he went to Sassuolo, and people are like, "Oh, like he's just gonna he's either gonna finally become what he's supposed to be, or he's just gonna fizzle out." But instead, no, he was a perfect Pellegrini replacement, actually.
Yeah. Well, thank God he chose the latter, thank God he chose Sassuolo, because
I agree.
It definitely would have been the latter, and he definitely would have fizzed out if he joined us.
I agree. Get any time.
Something I noticed, we really did not press up top. Like there was really no movement. Ronaldo was very lazy today.
Yep.
He did not. It seemed like he had no. And maybe this is why, like the Sarri ball, we're not winning the ball back quick enough.
Yeah, it's not high enough either.
There's not this high press that we need. And really, like I said, I thought Higuain looked gassed. Mm-hmm. Ronaldo's not doing the running. So really, you're really giving a lot of space to these players that can do well, and they were linking well.
It's interesting you bring that up, because I've gotten a couple discussions with people about Bernardeschi versus Costa, and the reason why I like Bernardeschi starting is because he does the pressing.
Yeah,
he's the one
That's
pressing.
True. I agree.
And him and Dybala are usually the ones pressing, but without Dybala now, it's just up to Berna, and that leaves all this space open. Because unfortunately, the other thing with Ronaldo is he doesn't move the ball fast enough.
No,
in my opinion, he takes it, he sits, he looks around, he will do a couple step overs, and then he lays it off. When it really should just be the quick 1-2s, which is what we're supposed to be playing, but we just aren't, because we have a little hiccups here and there. Not here and there, but everywhere.
And that's why I personally think that Alexandro has always had a tough time, as well as the left midfielder has always had a tough time, because it's so hard to read a player that you think is going to take on the team, and you don't know. And again, like I said, he holds the ball way too fucking long, guys.
And they
Like,
always come back. The opposition, their midfield, their attackers.
And you know who he's going to give it to. You know who he's going to give it to every damn time. And sometimes there's a mistake, and then it works out. But the majority of the time, it does not work out. And then 29th minute, mistakes. Matuidi loses. Who was it? Who did he lose in the midfield? Goes 1-2 with, I believe, what was it? Berardi? I believe it was Berardi. Does he nutmeg, or he gets...
No, I'm sorry.
He gets past...
He got nutmegged by Berardi, I think is what happened. And then that was when the layoff went to Berardi.
1-2, and then Juricic just slots it in top corner. Just ripped our defense. And I look at the team, and we're sitting back like a mid-table, like a bottom table team, lower table team, and we're just sitting back inviting this pressure. And these quick guys are moving in between us. 1-2, bang, top corner. It's 2-1, and I believe who was it?
Yeah, that was it was Juricic the 29th, because that was with the Chicho goal that I think we went to talk about. It was because Berardi was, I think, he believed he nutmegged it. That's when it went to Chicho when he was falling. Yeah. And he got the little piece off to Juricic, who just smashed it.
Banged. Yep, there we go. There it's 2-1, game open. And then at the end of the half, man, Bernardeschi gets fouled. Yes.
Yeah.
Then he goes. I think he got a foul. I think it was a foul.
Because I remember watching it, and it looks like he was like, he was doing his like feints or whatever.
Yeah, and then he kind of fell. Over.
It looked like he kind of fell, but I didn't get a close enough look of it because I think they're trying to zoom in. I don't know.
I hope that GIF wasn't what that was. Maybe that's what I retweeted. That's funny.
Yeah, but he was doing these feints, is what was going on, and then he got very close. It might have been the Caputo. I forget who it was, and he fell, and that's when he got up and he was like yelling, and he just ran over
and just shoulders the guy,
and then
you're just like
the linesman, and you're like,
and then you see the yellow card, and you're like, dumbass, like you're done, you're not playing against Lazio.
That's like, what are you doing? Like,
stupidity again. That's the second time Danilo does it gets the red card, and now the same, like no consistency. Professionalism way below what we need, intelligence way below what we need. And then we look at the coach, and that's fine. You can look at the coach, but there's a lot of stupid moves our players do, and they need to smarten the hell up. And the blame goes around the whole table.
And then, everyone, in my opinion, goals.
Then at the end of the half, out of nowhere, this amazing link up, and then again Ronaldo misses.
It's always been that.
The guy needs to be more clinical. That money we're spending,
the 60 million, pre-tax,
is not up to par. And he hasn't looked great. I don't know what these Ronaldo fans are seeing, but it's they're talking about these criticisms, and we'll get into that a little bit later. I have a couple tweets I want to read off because I think they're just I don't know what they're thinking. Obviously, we get to halftime. It's still 2-1. We're in the lead. Again, it seems like a little bit the tables are turning. Obviously, Rugani, like you said, comes on for Chiellini because of, guy that's not ready, calf problem, maybe some...
like exactly what we were talking about, our worries.
And then right at the end, the start of the next half, I don't know what Sassuolo was thinking, but they play the ball back to the goalkeeper. And then all of a sudden we get an indirect free kick, and I'm like, oh well, Tevez scored a cracker the last time. I
remember that. Yeah,
I saw an indirect free kick, so maybe we can get a third or come up with a play. Literally clueless. I don't know what you're arguing about Ronaldo.
Yeah,
I don't know what the fuck you're arguing about.
Because I've never watched it, and they're pointing at the wall, and Ronaldo's saying something to Pjanic, and then there's all this confusion with the players in the box.
So I get the movement at the beginning. That's fine. But as soon as Pjanic touches the ball, you can move wherever the fuck you want to move.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they didn't try and chip it over to the other side and go for a header or something like that. but it was just stupid. And then we're complaining. It's like, guys, that was just ridiculous. What
Yeah.
are you complaining about?
I mean, I don't blame them because, if you look at old footage, like one of my favorite goals is I think it was Alan Shearer in the direct free kick.
I think
Similar
I know what
spot.
you're talking about.
They just cunt it. They just it's a good strategy though, because I mean, if you're an opposition player and you see Ronaldo, what he does with a free kick that far out, hitting the wall, because you're like a couple yards forward, you're right in front of him. Like, I'd be scared shitless, dude. Like, I don't know where he's putting that thing.
Yeah.
I don't blame him for trying. Like you said, maybe could have chipped it over, but I don't know. I think my first instinct would have been just like blast that thing. It has to go somewhere. But
True. I just think it was such a bad angle.
I
that he had.
agree. Yeah,
And it was like, I guarantee you, exactly like you said, I guarantee you they all thought he was going to probably smash it. And you just have such a great advantage to think that, and then you dink it over. He chips it over. And I guarantee you someone would have been open, or you put it back across goal, and then you get some options.
Lucky deflection here or there might.
But not horrible. I was pissed that they were even. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys arguing about?
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, oh my god, here we go. I was
then 51st minute, guys.
Yes.
Obviously, Sassuolo gets a free kick, and Tech flat-footed. Amazing. I thought it was a great goal. I thought it was a great free kick.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna say, and Tech had a great game today. He saved us on a lot of occasions, so I'm not gonna rip him. I think he didn't go for it, which a little bit irked me, but I was like, whatever, that's fine. It was a great free kick.
I didn't blame him because the movement on that thing was ridiculous. Like,
and then I look at the wall. They show the replay. It was literally the parting sea.
Yeah, I think it
Ronaldo
was
jumps and Bentancur goes. I believe it's the opposite direction.
Yeah, it was both them together.
And I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, just move out of the way if that's going to be the case. But they tie it. Great goal though from Berardi.
When I was freaking out about the Italian Messi's back. What a left foot.
And Bentancur, bad foul, I believe it was.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I'm not, again, you can't rip guys, when they've played so well and they've been consistent, whatever. It happens. Like I said, whether you look at the defense, whether you look at the offense, or whether you look at the midfield. As long as you're playing consistently, sure, you can make mistakes here or there. I really like the Alexandre play, though. I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit. He got a lot of stick this game. He's only played in his third game back from again, kind of a ligament injury.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that. Then 54th minute. Delict, Rugani, Danilo, all watched the fucking ball go across goal.
I think it was it Mulder? I think I got the assist. It might have been him or Bro. I think it was Mulder because it was right-footed. But yeah, because
that's who made the run on the first goal that you guys scored.
Yeah.
Mulder
you might be right. Yeah.
Beats Matuidi, and he goes in. That's who it was.
Dude,
Thank you for bringing
He's been great this season. I mean, I think he because we lost Lirola to Fiorentina in the summer, and we brought in I can never say his name. I think it's Tojan from Dortmund, but Mulder, another great piece of business by the board because they always sign these like lesser known players like Demiral, for example. And he scored in his first two appearances, but he was great against Lazio. He was great again against Juve, but he's always looking to get forward like that and make those runs and make those crosses like he did. I believe it was him again to the far post for Chicho. But
3-2, guys. I mean,
and the story 3-2.
Heck completely missed that one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if maybe because he hesitated because he didn't know if the defenders were going to take it or not, but completely missed that. Then you have those three half asleep. Everybody's asleep. Everyone's sitting back. I don't know what's going on. We checked out again, and we're down 3-2. And now it's like the same narrative spinning round and round. 57 minutes, something I noticed. Again, Ronaldo taking way too damn long. And I write these things down because, even with Quadrado, when I see him at the right back, every time he makes a mistake, I write it down because if I forget, it won't sit in my mind.
I tweet Quadrado, and then he makes another one, and I reply to that tweet. I get Quadrado part 2. Shrouded part 3.
So obviously, again, I got to give Sarri criticism. Rabiot was supposed to come on before that third goal. He sat him back down. Then that happens. And it seems like for these games where we've gone down, the changes haven't come till basically
Later.
shit has hit the fan.
Mhm.
So again, I don't think it's a smart move. I think he needs to be better in that instance. He needs to read the game better.
Yep.
And as the coach, he's going to pay. So he's getting paid for that, and that's what he needs to do. So
Yeah.
Rabiot comes on for Pjanic. Dybala comes on for Higuain, and immediately,
Yeah.
I don't give a shit if you say that Dybala wasn't converting.
That,
There was trying to make an argument on fucking Twitter, and it just pisses me off again with these Ronaldo fans. Again, it was instant,
that Dybala
guys.
chance, I know what you're talking about. When he somehow he turns, cuts inside, threads it across.
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
Obviously, just before that, though, Berto with an actual nice cross. And something that I noticed before is even when Bernardeschi was on those cross, I think that's something we should use him for.
Yeah.
He does put nice crosses from set pieces
No
in
one
the
gets
box.
on the end of it. For the
Well,
most
they
part.
almost did in
Yeah.
some of when he
I-
was actually tasked as the guy taking the free kicks.
Mhm.
He actually put some nice balls and some nice corners in as well. So I would definitely like to see that. And so he had a nice cross to Rabiot, close. That was a big chance, kind of trying to bring it back. And then exactly like you said, Rabiot gets the ball to Dybala, great play. Then Dybala, perfect pass on the tape, like I say in hockey, on the toe.
Yep.
And literally $31 million. And I'm like, okay, 3-3, here we go. And literally just
right to Consigli.
shits it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you like? Just and people wonder why we get pissed off.
And
For exactly this.
It's unfortunate because I think what a lot of people don't realize, including like, Ronaldo fans, is that at Madrid, they just kept creating chance after chance. You think you have Cruz, you have Benzema, who's great at that. It's that midfield and attack was set, was built for Ronaldo. Like people like Benzema. How many times we see on Twitter Benzema getting, thrown
Shelled.
to the exactly.
Oh, yeah.
But he's the one that made that tick because they kept creating all these chances for him. And just like the Atletico game with the comeback is a good example. All those chances we created for Ronaldo, he put them away, of course. But he needs these chances. He's not clinical like people think he is. It's just all these chances. He's good enough to to eventually put them away.
He needs high, not high probability, but he needs a lot of chances.
Yes,
like
he needs a lot of and
he needs a lot of moments. And
There's
there
nothing
isn't.
wrong with that. Yeah, like Aubameyang's the same way. Before anyone comes at me, there's nothing wrong with that. It's normal. Not everyone's gonna be super clinical. Yeah, they will. I mean, Ronaldo. People keep saying he's not the poacher like people keep thinking he is, like a Cardi, where he's planted in the box. Ronaldo does. He's coming from the wing. He can't do that. If he was a poacher, he'd be a lot more clinical, I would think. But
he got to score there.
Yeah,
you just have to to make it 3-3 around the 60th minute, I believe it was. That changes the game. Obviously, Douglas Costa comes on for Bernardeschi, which I mean didn't necessarily need to happen. Obviously we're down, so you want to push. Because obviously Bernardeschi got the yellow card, so he's not playing next game. So you potentially could have just ran him out, but
I wouldn't risk getting a red. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I mean, if he makes another idiot decision.
True. Fair point.
We're down 10. Now we're down to 10 then.
And then obviously we get, then Sassuolo started sitting obviously back a little bit, and a lot of our chances start. We got some chances. Obviously off a corner from Bentancur, Alexandro gets his head on it in the 64th, and I'm just makes my day.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone else notices, but when Bentancur takes those corners, is a hell of a lot better than Pjanic. He puts those in, and I like it. And I hope he keeps doing it. I hope he's the corner. Unless, because Dybala's usually also doing it as well, depending on the situation and where it is. But he should stay on those corners because he delivers it very well. And usually we get someone on the end of it, which is rare, it feels like. I can't really remember, other than like Cameronese back in the day. No one else did that well. Of course, Pirlo too.
Yeah.
But I feel like back then with Cameronese, there's always a good corner.
Exactly. Obviously 68. Again, another Ronaldo decision that, I believe he just ran at the defender and he just got pocketed.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. And I just write, Dybala is the difference, whether you like him or not. And I know it's hard for guys to say, but it is what it is. I'm going to keep beating on that drum till someone changes their mind. And if they don't, I really don't care.
Yeah.
Ronaldo's strike obviously saved in the 78th. That was good. Obviously, great save from Consigli. Then on the 81st, it was kind of weird because they didn't show it. Obviously, Ramsey came on for Matuidi.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, and
then they
like
brought it up after, and it was just like, okay,
yeah,
sure.
I was confused. I'm like, how long was he on for? Like, did I miss something?
And then again, 84th minute, Sassuolo's coming at us again, and Tech makes an incredible save.
Yeah,
and then I'm like, I believe it was Caputo again. Don't quote me on that, but it was some Sassuolo player got the ball back again. Pretty much has an empty net, and Sandro gets behind it and just clears it.
I'm trying to remember if it was Locatelli or Boga. I forget who it was because like you said, Sandro. Yeah, Sandro with the Sandro I think with the goal line.
Oh, don't worry, I remember because now I'm locked in on Alexandro, so now I have to remember.
I remember
these moments.
I remember
I placed my bet.
I remember getting up, I'm like, oh my god, because I jokingly said to friends, I'm like, yeah, Sassuolo is gonna, they're gonna win. And my friends were like making fun of me for it, but I remember seeing that, I was like, did I just like
jinx it?
I just like lose like.
Oh, that was it.
That
was it right there. That was it right there.
Yeah.
That would have been a chaos on Juve Twitter if that happened. But, obviously 90th minute, a little bit of a scary moment. Bentancur hobbles off, and guys are and obviously that's come out to be, negative, and there's no real muscle issues. Obviously, they're going to keep looking at him. But then after that, I really checked out, to be quite honest, during that 90 to 95 minutes.
It was just chaotic defending on both sides, like it usually is. I don't know why, but love De Zerbi. But for some reason, at the end of the game, when it comes to the 80th minute, he tries to shut down shop. But the thing is, I believe we conceded 45 goals this season, which is up there.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. They're not used to that. They're not used to defending because the entire game, best defense is offense. That's literally the mindset.
And I think people have a misconception when they say defending and completely sitting back. That's the difference. Like if you go back and forth and you're pushing and they're pushing back, that makes that's that's gonna happen. But when you come, like I said, I don't like teams who sit back like that. Yeah. That's opening way too much. And again, there you go. Then some stuff goes back and forth. There's chances one way or another, and that's the game, guys. 3-3. I think we have one first team really, and that's about it. There's going to need to be a lot of change. A lot of guys. I mean, a lot of pages have mentioned who needs to go, and I think everybody knows the names. Yeah. I think we need to blow it up.
Excuse me. It's interesting you bring that up because when we signed Sarri, I kind of figured, in my opinion, it was going to be a short-term signing because how I viewed it was, okay, we're going to introduce this idea of attacking football to this team, and obviously it's not working as well as I think they planned. But I'm hoping for the summer, Poch is definitely at the top of my list.
I wouldn't mind
because I think he's a nice balance between the two. Because if you look at the Tottenham, they did well defensively, and they're also very, very good.
Yeah.
On the final third, so I'm hoping it's something like that. I don't think Zidane's leaving like people are hoping. Unfortunately, I think they were expecting Zidane to sign when they sacked Allegri.
I agree.
Then the whole Pep situation fell apart, and there's really no one else. Poch wasn't leaving Tottenham after Champions League final, and then that's kind of how it fell to place because we weren't going to pay Conte 12 million like the other guys were.
Exactly, and
I
know.
It's just hey, you're the last one. Help, just introduce this idea.
So I think for me, obviously, I think our best player of the game, obviously, I'm going to give it to Tech. I think he kind of saved our ass for a lot. There's a lot of saves he made. Obviously, whatever. I gave him some stick a couple times, but it's, again, like I said, guys make mistakes. I'm not going to hold him exactly to the loss because of some of the things that he did. But again, worst players, you can name a lot. Worst. Maybe you have some a theory on that.
To me,
Yeah.
unfortunately, that worst player. So I want to put out Ronaldo because this is the game that you scored the 2 pens against Atalanta and you still looked bad. Sorry to everyone that gets offended by that, but he was poor the past 3 games. This is the game to show up because Sassuolo isn't the best defensively. You're going up against, a younger, inexperienced right back and an aging defense. This game specific, an aging defense.
Yeah.
And the chances that you've had, especially the Bile one, the most notable, and the open net, I'm not expecting you to put it in halfway, because he was far out.
Yeah.
But at least, he kind of took it way too quick, in my opinion. But
hit the goal. Bring it in. Do whatever.
Least, put it on target. But that chance against Dybala that Dybala set up, that's his bread and butter. You have to put that away. And slowing down, not looking interested, that's not it. To me, worst player just because of you're supposed to be, I guess, not the role model, but the focal point of the attack.
Oh, exactly. That's what we paid him for,
let us
right?
down. Exactly. Up 60 million before tax.
Yep. And I think, I think he is in that group. I don't know if you want to get into well, I think this game was too, for me, again, Tech's best player, but I would only give him a 7, to be honest.
Yeah. He could have done better on the third. And the free kick to an extent.
Exactly. Danilo, I think 6.5. I saw some good things out of him. Obviously on the offensive side, obviously the goal, but really, again, I think he's a backup right back.
Yeah, I agree. We only got him to make money for De Ligt, if you're looking at it. So that's like, I hope we get who we're linked with, but that's the most I'll say about that. But Danilo is definitely at best a backup right back because we can't trust him to. Yeah, that's what he's really been his career anyway, as a backup right back.
Then De Ligt,
see how you go there.
Yeah, De Ligt, I would say 6.5. I would give Chiellini a 6.5 as well, and I give Sandro a 6.5 as well. Like that's kind of what I would say. That's why I didn't know if you wanted to do the ratings or not. Because you're going to be very mediocre.
Yeah, everyone was mediocre except really for Tech, in my opinion, and Bentancur.
Yeah, he was
pretty good as well. Especially he needs to work on his long balls. We'll admit that. But other than that, playing on the right, in my opinion, is his best position. Moving the ball forward, he has the dribbling, he has the awareness to make smart, intelligent runs that Khedira doesn't. Bentancur, when he makes those runs, he's making space for Ronaldo, for the strikers. Khedira's taking up space. That's why I prefer him on the right instead of as the regista. Pjanic also had a decent game as well. Obviously, but nothing spectacular. Yeah, but to me, the best players, it was Tech, Bentancur, and right under that was Pjanic, in my opinion. He did well.
Yeah, he'd had
the most I'll say.
He had 2 assists, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the corner and the ball to Higuain.
So pretty good game. I mean, pretty good. But again, I find he has those moments of quality, and we've seen it in other games as well. He's got moments of quality, but then it's just for the rest of it.
It's not like he doesn't have the engine. He doesn't have
exactly
the defensive awareness because he's always making silly fouls instead of cleverly going about it. But
and then Bernardeschi, I think I would have given him like a 6.5 because I think he did play decently. And then you get that stupid yellow card. That's really he should be the starter.
Thing That's the only thing that I have against Berna that game was that stupid yellow and stupid foul. Everything else, I love how all his off the ball, but his on the ball needs some work.
Yeah.
Obviously, his decision making is always getting the best of him, or
And
not the
then
best, but the worst.
Higuain, I'm gonna say like a 5. I thought he was gassed this game. I think he needs to get more. I mean,
I give
again,
him,
he's
yeah, I
had a
give him like a
long.
5.5 or 6. I mean, he did his job
Yep.
to a certain degree. I'm
Ronaldo,
not expecting
5.
him to press. Yeah, very wasteful.
5, man. I mean,
Doesn't look interested.
yeah,
but-
it's tough. It's really it's tough. It's tough, man.
Hopefully,
When we have these
hopefully it
games coming up.
changes. He looked frustrated after. He looked very frustrated after an Atalanta game, which I love about him. I
Yeah.
love seeing a player pissed off. Like a lot in American sports, you see that a lot in like the NBA with LeBron. Like that's what separates, a great athlete to a
Yeah.
legendary athlete. Seeing Ronaldo at his age playing for a team like Juve, still getting pissed off that he's missing chances, I love it. It's gold.
You're not trying to tell me you're a LeBron fan, are you?
Why not like LeBron?
Yeah. Do you like
Oh, I
LeBron?
love LeBron. I love
Oh
LeBron.
God, guys, we got to cut the podcast short right here.
We'll take this off camera.
No, but yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, great talent.
Yeah.
And yeah, you definitely have to perform. But
I'm hoping, I believe that he's going to show up against Lazio. We're going to see something different, especially after this run of form.
then
He's not having it.
Yeah, yeah. Then subs, obviously, Rabiot came on, Rugani came on. I would say Rugani again, low score,
Yeah,
not paying attention. Really didn't have any rhythm. And so I'm gonna give him like a 4.5, 5.
yeah, that's generous.
Same.
Yeah, not generous.
Same
but
with
that's stick.
Douglas Costa. I think did well. 6 average, did his job.
Yeah,
A
I think
little bit
yeah,
of
same thing for Ramsey. He just
exactly.
came on. There's nothing really to go off of. But the Bila 10, for me.
See,
I just love him.
for
I'm
me,
just
it's
biased.
tough. For me, it's tough. Like in a game like this where you draw 3-3, I wouldn't give him the top. I'll give him like a 6. I'm gonna give him a 6.5. Everyone who I thought was like decent, but like not like great. Like he did miss a couple chances. Dybala as well. Some sloppy passes here and there. But like I said, eye test. There was a consistent difference from when he came on. And you even look at Ronaldo, and I tweeted it. It took Dybala coming on for Ronaldo to move his fucking ass
Yeah,
in
because
this
he
in
knew
this
it was
game
coming. That's the thing.
because he knows he's gonna get shown up, and when he sees that, and then that's what happens, and I think it's so telling, and that's what I was seeing. Even the small spurts we saw with Allegri. And people thought this was like a Dybala like mentality thing, which I thought was incredibly a stupid argument.
Oh my god, don't get me started. I mean, was you have your coach coming out saying that Dybala is great as a box to box? That's when
I
you
know.
know something is up. Like I don't understand. And like, watching and what Sarri has done really well is reviving Dybala, because I think if I remember from the interview, Dybala straight up, admitted he's like, I think
Oh yeah,
this is paraphrase of course, but it was just Sarri told me to stop dropping back. And
oh yeah, he
as
definitely
far
mentioned it.
like
He's definitely given the stick to Allegri
Yeah,
lots of times.
and it's great because we're finally seeing him look like he's enjoying it, because now I don't see him at center circle. Now he's a little bit outside the box and he can use his creativity.
But this is the thing I love.
Mhm.
I would take Sarri's just his revival of Dybala over even looking or thinking about Allegri, because even let's say we stripped it all away, we can actually build a team around this guy, guys, over a guy you couldn't build around because you had a coach that was so ass backwards.
And
in
it's really
attack.
just like, at least with Sarri's players, like we've seen with Napoli, they can play different ways.
Yeah.
With Allegri, it was like you look at Emery Can, and Aaron Ramsey was an Allegri signing. Did I say Aaron Ramsey? Yeah, sorry. Aaron Ramsey and Emery Can, they were Allegri signings because they're big. They have an engine on them to an extent.
Yeah.
They can get up and down. That's not exactly going to work because they're not as technical. Aaron Ramsey is the exception. I'll actually say that because he played with Wenger.
Yeah.
He has the technical ability, but someone like Khedira, Matuidi, Emery Can, they're all Allegri players because they're big, they're strong, they're physical, they're not that well technical.
Yeah.
And players like Sarri, technical players, they can play different systems. Like we've seen with Ancelotti, was more possession based, and like we've seen with Gattuso, which is more counterattack. They're playing off
You're
the
right.
counter. If a team's built with Sarri, it could work, depending on how well things go in the locker room, because it doesn't look that well at the moment. But yeah, case in point, I agree with you on that.
And then what about Sarri? I think Sarri this game he didn't make he made the mistake again of not reacting fast enough.
Yep, I agree. That was one
And
thing that Allegri did well, was
that is
he
true.
knew what to do in game management. Obviously, best examples against Spurs, spreading the game out wide, bringing on Asamoah and Lichtsteiner. It's Sarri's very stubborn. Like I said when I was on all Juve cast with Alberto, shout out to the man. But he's so stubborn. He's just like, you've seen it at Chelsea, you've seen it at Napoli. You look back, it's the 4-3-3, same players, almost no rotation. And even now, when you have the opportunity to bring on 5 players to build up some match fitness and to conserve, it's still, he's bringing on way too late. Chiellini, good example. Poor decision making is involved too. He just needs to be better. He just needs he needs to sit down and reevaluate these decisions, because it's kind of hurting us right now.
Yep. So let's get into what he had to say. Here's a bunch of quotes, obviously, I found on Twitter from obviously the post-match. So we struggle to have physical and mental continuity, but it also happens to other teams. Difficult to understand why, but we're playing teams in great condition. If we solve the problem of ups and downs in the same game, we're on the right track, which kind of makes sense. I mean,
it's a generic statement. I don't like. We shouldn't be looking at what other teams are doing, because if they're also having ups and downs like Lazio, it's not good. So it's not okay regardless. That was never, even before, I never remembered us going, yeah, well, everyone else is doing it, so we'll work on it. It's always like, no, we suck. We're gonna work on it, whether it's a retreat or whether it's more training. But it was never like that.
Yeah, and so the next little bit that he had to say, we had a hard time defending forward, and they took advantage of it with the attacking midfielder. We need constancy in the game. Or I'm guessing he meant consistency. We have aimed too often to go with a few passes towards goal. We had to manage the dribble more. We have to make obviously 9 points in the next 3 games without making calculations. The goal is either reached or failed. I mean, the second part, that's kind of obvious. But again, not too much dribble, too much thinking on the ball.
Yep.
And I think that's a big problem.
Yep.
Exactly.
Like again with Ronaldo was our main point.
Yep, exactly. So to me, he then says Chiellini looked ready to play, but he had a little calf problem and asked to be subbed off after 25 minutes. Then he asked to stay until the end of the first half. Maybe it was early to play him.
All right.
I guess now he's taking the players' advice of when to go and when not.
I love Chiellini, but wasn't it earlier in the restart where Chiellini got off the bench, dressed, and was like, "Put me in"? Like, I love him, but don't listen to him when he's hurt and he's like, "Hey, put me in, coach." No,
he's not. He's not the guy to get paid for those decisions.
He's the gorilla. Don't listen to the gorilla. Don't listen to King Kong like that. And putting him on, love him, love the effort, but now we need you. We need you. And obviously, look what happened.
Exactly. Obviously, let's get these last 3 points in. Opponents easily enter our penalty area. The team must be more balanced. You want to score the 3rd goal in 2 passes at 2-0. You will split the team in half and leave space. We knew it would be a difficult game. We can also accept a draw, but we must avoid these passive moments within the matches. Kind of the same generic stuff.
Yeah.
It is time where the situation is like this. I think we have to find the ability to always have our heads in the game, stay in shape even at times when games seem to turn in the wrong direction. Only discipline can avoid problems. And we've lacked discipline in a lot of the games we've had. Again, 2 instances of just even cards. That's ridiculous. And then again, looking to the next game, Lazio, a team that obviously is fighting for their own, pride, for their own, sense of belonging, if you want to say.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
they've shit the bed so
Yep.
far, and I think they're going to want to play, and get back to normal and say, no, we did deserve, we didn't choke.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think
we're
they're
still
going
in
to
the
give
title
us,
race.
we've beat you twice within the span of a week. And they're going to think they can beat us again, and they've countered us really well.
Yep. It's that confidence we were talking about before.
So this is crucial.
Yep.
It's the big show, as I called it in the season restart preview.
Mm-hmm.
This is potentially it, guys. It's either reopening or potentially closing. I mean, it's really that important.
Like before, our destiny's in our hands. If we have to show up, we have to see out the season. Like I think we will, but it's in our hands now. There's no one else to blame but us. We can point fingers all we want.
Yep, and I think even you look at Immobile, I think he's going to want to improve, his, the talking points of obviously Ronaldo catching him with goals, and
he just hates us in general.
Exactly. So it's going to be interesting, man. It's definitely going to be interesting.
It's going to be fun. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Personally.
I think it'll be a good game. I think again we need to come out and assert our dominance, and we haven't been able to do that against the teams that we've needed to. That these more difficult games, as we've called them, because the gauntlet has not. We've not started well in this gauntlet that I called it.
Yeah, we knew it was gonna be like this too, like tricky, and unfortunately, here we are.
So we're taking our lickings. Obviously, again, let me be honest, I didn't send out a tweet that I needed to send out to get questions from you guys. So I apologize for that. I just want to be honest, but I want to get a take, obviously. Now, there's been a lot of people who've been talking about this guy. I like to call him Danny Golfer. Someone uses another expletive that I'm not going to say on the show. But a lot of people have been saying, this guy, he's very reasonable. You can have a good conversation about. It's not just about Ronaldo. Now, this is what we got as a tweet. Seems that more Ronaldo fans tonight admitted that he had a bad game compared to Dybala fans. They're defending his cameo involving giving the ball away and hitting balls into the stands. How can anyone? This was obviously a reply to that saying. How can anyone find a positive from their performances tonight? It's not the end of the world, but at least don't be a hypocrite and talk about how blind Ronaldo fans usually are. Well, did someone realize how bad Ronaldo's been in all the other games and not say anything? Congratulations. You just proved what we've been saying all along. You guys have been so blind when he's had mediocre performances.
Yep. And he gets.
And you've called them that, because he got the Man of the Match award from WhoScored.com. All of a sudden, you guys are cracking on like he's running the show on this team. This tweet just shows the exact hypocrisy that all Juve fans are laughing at UCR7 fanboys. And look, don't get me wrong. I talked to a guy, Danny, a few podcasts ago. He's a good guy. He's reasonable. He gets that Ronaldo's aging. So, again, Danny, this is not towards you. We can have a great conversation. I get that. And I'm not directing it at that. But these fanboys, man, are getting to a level, son.
And it's, shout out to Aaron Jasper. We really started off on bad terms. He was Ronaldo. Well, he still is, part of Ronaldo FC. But
which is fine. Again,
it is. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. That's how it is nowadays. You have, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant fans. You have the Jordan fans still, the LeBron fans.
Yep.
It's all fine. That's how things are nowadays. But
Del Piero fans. Well,
hey,
not as big, but it's okay. It's still here. He's still number one right here.
Still fight to the death for him. Anyway, that's how things are nowadays, and same goes for all types of fans. Like I do agree. Dybala fans too, to a certain extent, are kind of like ridiculous. But Dan, I was young and dumb, maybe like a year or two ago, and we did get into a lot of arguments specifically about his Ronaldo's free kick abilities. But you are really, you unblocked me. So thank
144. 1 4 44 in
But
Serie
no,
A.
yeah, like I think people should just stop taking things so seriously. Not to
True.
like toot my own horn. Like you just realize,
Hey.
hey, it's a sport. It's one guy. It's okay to recognize faults in your idol, in someone that you're following like that. And so I think that these fanboys need to start doing more, is being a little bit more humble about it, because they're gonna retire, and what are you gonna do now?
Oh,
Same
exactly.
goes with the Messi fans as well.
Oh, it's a cancer, man. It's a
Like
cancer.
like under every Bleacher Report football post, and it's like, on this day Italy wins the World Cup, then all of a sudden you see like some guys like on this day, Messi misses a penalty,
Yeah.
or
Oh,
on
yeah.
this day Ronaldo, like, and it's like it's a cancer. But now that's in our fan base, though, there are really good
Oh
who
no,
you can
like
have conversations with, like Dan and my friend Aaron that I mentioned, but I I can't stand the vast majority of them. I like CR Rap Rhymes, another one.
oh
Hey,
well yeah. Albert's gonna be dropping. What did he say? MDL 4 rhymes. So stay tuned, guys. Stay tuned.
hey, I mean, support who you want to support. I have no qualms against it, unless it's Liverpool or Merida. It's the only
True.
that's the only thing I have against it. You supporting, but it's life. I
Oh
can't,
yeah.
like,
No, to me it's this consistent this
ram,
consistent rambling about the
yeah,
same things,
over and
and
over.
like you can't, and that's what pisses. It's like, that's fine. I've given him his due. I've
Yeah,
given him
I,
his due.
I,
Check the pod. I've given him his due.
yeah, I've said it like earlier in the pod. Like I love his competitive nature. I genuinely really really like Ronaldo. I love Ronaldo in the sense that he's always striving to keep going. He's not settling for whatever.
Yeah.
He's not settling. Oh yeah, I scored. Oh yeah, hey, I missed all these chances, but I scored. It's holy shit. How did I miss these chances? Like how many times you see him like
Yeah.
grabbing his hair or something?
True.
Like
I agree with that.
that's the thing. Like sport you want to support, basically, as this incoherent rambling that I'm kind of going on. I don't care. You do you, but
Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah.
just, oh
Exactly.
God, calm down. It's not that serious.
Exactly, my friend. Obviously, there was and I don't know if I'm going to release this as a little kind of a bonus segment, but kind of maybe to clip down this podcast, because we've been
Yeah, we've
going,
been
my
going
friend,
on.
which is awesome. I like it.
Oh
It's a
yeah, it's
good
great
conversation, man.
conversation. Exactly.
So keep her going. But obviously, Eric Acierno-Gibbs, obviously on Twitter. Me and him have gone back and forth a couple times with Bernardeschi and some things. But no, he put out like a video thread. And obviously wanting to express his feelings about Sarri, why he didn't think, why it's not working, his point of view. And like I've always said, I like seeing content and I like hearing everybody's opinion. I think it's great. Even if you're gonna have one like Mr. Danny Golf here, that's fine. But I'm gonna come back with my piece, and so be it. And I have to agree with a lot of what he said. Now, let's kind of break it down into like segments.
Yeah.
The first point he makes is about uh, adding quality, adding players. Sadi doesn't have the right players, and that's kind of been, something I've said. I believe he definitely needs to get players that can fit into that system. If you don't have three strong center backs, you're not going to play 3-5-2. It doesn't matter, just because Allegri would play 3-5-2 and throw in a left winger and a central defensive mid as your
or
center
even
back.
Conti, like
Right.
people who used to do that. Yeah.
That's not necessarily, I mean, you could call it pragmatic, but again, it hasn't always worked. It's worked in certain occasions, but again, you generally want to play to your strengths of the team.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, everyone said that Sarri is so stubborn. He's going to need to play to the system that he likes and need the players that he's going to need. Now, again, so the example was Ronaldo, right, initially.
Yeah.
If Ronaldo, if this system makes CR7 look bad, it doesn't matter what players you add, it's not going to make a difference.
Mhm.
I have to disagree with that. If that's the bar, that's setting a very low precedent of what it is from a player that said, I'm only going to play on the left wing and I
Yeah.
really don't care about what you guys have to say about it, and has really, underperformed as a striker or whatnot. I mean, that's a pretty low bar to set, personally, in my opinion. What did you have to think about, obviously quality of players? We'll get into the Pep thing next, but kind
Yeah.
of just generally about the Ronaldo.
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
Like, I understand where he's coming from. Like, Ronaldo is like really well. He's playing under different systems, obviously, whether it was with Zidane or Ancelotti or Mourinho. But at the end of the day, he's essentially just holding us back.
Yeah.
The system's not making Ronaldo look back. It's just Ronaldo's like tendency to kind of take things on his own, his selfishness, I guess, best way to describe it. Holding on to the ball for too long, like we talked about before,
Right.
trying to go past players. Like, it's not Spain and Italy. People, the tactics are there. Coaches know how to stop most of
Yeah.
them. Most
Especially in
players
Italy.
drop. Yeah, most coaches in Italy know how to stop a player like Ronaldo from going past everyone. But I think that if Ronaldo was to embrace the system, he'd actually be doing a lot better, if anything, because the whole system is designed on getting crosses into the box, whether it's far post or low crosses into the middle. He's always going to be on the end of them because that's his role. That's what That's what Sarri's trying to get. But I think Ronaldo is holding the system back to an extent. It's not entirely his fault, but I think Ronaldo is holding the system back. Not entirely again, but
Because
to a
he's
certain extent.
a great quality.
Yeah.
But when he's not, if let's say he's not conforming to, like I said, like we talked about, if he's got to press and he doesn't want to press,
Yeah, if he's not
it
trusting that
fucks everything
process,
up.
if he's not trusting the process, it's because at the end of the day, I don't think Ronaldo understands is that if he adapts to this, he's gonna be on the end. The whole thing is to get chances for him.
right?
He's gonna be doing a lot better, and I think with better players, like the proper players, more not like a Matt Tweedy, more like an Allen who can do what Matt Tweedy doesn't cover, and also technical ability. I think maybe Ronaldo changes a bit and essentially pick up on his slack. But that's all I'll say about it.
Right. Then the next thing that was really touched on was the Pep Guardiola argument. Now, obviously, there's this style of play, right?
Yeah.
Quick passing, triangles, obviously high press, get the ball back.
Yeah.
Limit the team as much as possible. Limit obviously the opposing team to as little minutes having the ball as you can, right? And then obviously run up the score enough that even if you do concede some goals because you're a little bit leaky defensively, it doesn't necessarily matter. That's kind of how I see it. Again,
Yeah.
So he did bring up Pep Guardiola, and I know recently he was throwing a little bit a shade about Juve podcasts and how many there were out there, which is fine. But he did make a little bit of a blunder himself on the video, which is fine. I mean, hey, this is a tough job. I give him credit for coming out, putting out a what was it, like 10, 12-minute video?
No, it was a great thread. I loved it.
I think you
Beautiful
did.
man,
I think
by
you
the way,
did.
Eric, if you're watching.
Yeah,
Very
exactly.
beautiful.
Exactly. And so he did a great job. I like it.
I agree.
But he said they had the three best mid at the time. And
I disagree with that.
They still couldn't win it at the time. So let's talk about the mid. They played Tottenham right in the quarterfinals. They had in the first leg David Silva, which he said was at the time one of the best. I don't necessarily agree with that. Fernandinho, and then they played a 4-3-3, obviously in that game. David Silva on the left, Fernandinho in the middle, and Ilkay Gundogan in the middle of that game. They lost 1-0. Obviously, Spurs was at home. Top three mid? I don't think so. And
I agree.
Bernardo Silva was not playing in that game for, I can't find the reason. It says an undisclosed injury, but he did play in the game.
I remember that. And De Bruyne was De Bruyne still hurt that game?
So, again, he brought up Kevin De Bruyne in it. That season was one of the most injury-laden seasons he's ever had. I believe his ACL, I believe, or MCL was completely blown to shit. And like the previous year, I think it was. And he was just getting back as they played that second leg because he came on the 89th minute, I believe, in the first leg. And then he started in the second. So that I mean, I can't really take this as. I mean, I agree with you. To discredit Pep, yes, he hasn't won and
Yeah.
spent a shit ton of money. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Either at Bayern, he's won just the league, Man City, just the league, and Barcelona, he had a legend squad like Madrid, and that's my fault of Zidane. When people bring up Zidane, we talk about a guy who's had a team that for 5 years was put together and millions were spent and the right pieces were spent and they did a great job. I got to give Madrid credit. They bought great midfielders. They had great fullbacks. They obviously had Ronaldo and they had a guy like Benzema who would work with Ronaldo, who would basically, I don't want to say derogatory, but was basically his bitch for 5-6 years.
Yeah, he was creating this
and would do the service for him, right? He would do whatever he needed for him and took a lot of the brunt in the media, right? So again, it's difficult to say. Bernardo Silva did come on or did play in the second leg, I believe, and he did score, but he was as a right wing. He wasn't in the midfield. So again, that's kind of a tough, judge of saying all attacking football can't win you Champions League titles because look, Barcelona's done it. Yes, they did have a legend team that everyone would put the ball exactly where they needed it, exactly at the moment they wanted it. That's true. It's a legend team. I'm not going to deny that. But so you can't really use the Man City thing as, oh, well, we can't buy the right players because they had the best in the world. I would say Kevin De Bruyne is one of the best in the world when he's healthy. Gundogan, Fernandinho, and David Silva. I don't necessarily agree with that point. And then he obviously brought up Kulusevski. He doesn't think that, obviously, because he's doing so well. Or actually, let me make
He's doing well at Parma.
Yes.
I think he's on like what, 8 goals and 8 assists now, something like about that.
Yes, it is. If you want to say a couple things about the Man City before, I know I kind of rambled.
No. I see his point. I understand. But also to kind of counteract that point, if Kevin De Bruyne was healthy, and I still think Fernandinho, he's a great CDM.
Yeah.
He's just borderline shithouse. Like he's gonna kill you. Like it's
fair play.
I still think David Silva's a top player, but in his defense, if a healthy Kevin De Bruyne, the city were going through. They actually almost went through if it wasn't for VAR. And so
and away goals. So they won that game 4-3. The second leg they won 4-3. Spurs go through obviously because they scored the 3 away goals, and you could say it was open, whatever. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
but I think
again, go against his point. Like a healthy Kevin De Bruyne, and away goals kind of screwed him at VAR. So you have 3 factors out of there. The best midfielder on the planet, in my opinion, in Kevin De Bruyne, because when he's healthy and he's playing, it's beautiful.
Right.
But Man City, it was just unlucky. You need luck, and that's something as well Juve have been lacking, as well as Bayern, if you look at it. But just a quick, about that Barcelona team, I think you're forgetting that the core, the nucleus of that team came from La Masia with Pep.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
With like Iniesta. Xavi was actually almost out the door, I believe, around the time Pep came around. And as
but it
well,
was ingrained, right?
Yeah. And as well as Busquets coming up, Pedro, and he actually kicked out Deco, Ronaldinho, and someone else. And bringing in Dani Alves, I think, ever since then, obviously he can't win, and people keep bringing up Barca, but people forget he built that team.
Right.
That's what I want to say in defense of Pep. That's the only thing I'll say about that with Barca. But
because I can't stand them or Real just as much as the other ones.
Yeah.
I don't. Their fans are they're mirrored after those 2 fanboys.
Yeah, and people forget. Sorry, Barca fans, you're watching this. You really don't have any history, European wise, before Cruyff came along.
Oh yeah.
Just saying, it was always Madrid, and actually,
Facts. And then let's get on to Kulusevski. So he made the point that obviously Kulusevski's done so well, or he's doing so well at Parma right now. He's on a tear, and he doesn't necessarily believe it's a pick and plug in that it's going to work 100%, and you're adding this quality through him that he's doing so well there that it's going to translate completely under Sarri's system because of, I would say, not necessarily telling the guys how to play, not getting the message across, so on and so forth. My counter to that is, if that was the case, obviously we didn't know, then what's the point of even keeping Ronaldo? Because if no one's going to, if you can't pick and plug, then what's the point? Then what's the point of even bringing Sarri in the first place? There's obviously some tangible benefit of, bringing in players that are more, or that are used to his system, playing his style of play, and are obviously quicker players, pass the ball quickly, accurate on the pass, stuff like that. He's won, he won the Europa League. That wasn't a fluke. Napoli played really well. You could say, and that's obviously something that we'll get to in a couple points. But what do you think about the Kulusevski comment?
So I see where he's going with it, in the sense of, like, if the system keeps continuing as it is, and for some reason we're seeing this lack of creativity that we've been seeing, and for players with, like, different roles, it depends on how Kulusevski's going to be managed. If he's coming in and he expects him to kind of play like Berna, keep pressing and not really do much with the ball, he's going to flounder. But if we play how a coach should to the player's strengths, he's going to be great. It's always a slippery slope with these kind of situations, because you never know how well a player is going to adapt. Like, trying to think of a more recent example. Cancelo, for example. He was
Does
great.
he get along with the coach?
Yeah, hey,
how does he want to play?
What's the coach's mindset? Like, Allegri's very defensive, and Cancelo's very attacking fullback. It's a great, it wasn't exactly, he was still good with us, but under a different coach, I think it will be, I don't want to speak for Eric, whatever his point was. I interpret it as, it depends on how Sarri's going to treat him and what Sarri's going to use him for. Yeah.
And again, we're picking this, we're sitting back. Again, like I said, I looked up a lot of these stats. We're sitting back picking. You could say it's unfair, but again, this is just kind of how, my opinion on his piece. And I give him credit. I think he did a good job.
Oh yeah.
And I did agree with quite a bit of actually what he kind of, I guess we're going on the more contentious points if you want to say that. But next kind of thing you brought up, you mentioned obviously teams that have had change, like teams that we've played. You look at Milan. You've looked at did Sassuolo fire their coach before, or did Zerbi start the whole season?
The Zerbi has been here for 2 seasons, because So if my history is correct, because it was I can't pronounce his name. It was the current coach of Fiorentina is it's like Iñaki. I forget. I can't picture.
Iacchini.
Iacchini. Yeah, I always forget. So because EDF, Di Francesco went to Roma. I believe he was brought in, and then the Zerbi showed up with Benevento with a Serie C squad and still performed well. They played decent, as in, like, the football was kind of attractive, but he's a young up-and-coming manager, and ever since, I think it's been 2 years, the board again has put trust into him.
Right.
And look at the results. The Roma's back in Europe, but De Zerbi's been there for 2 years now. So that's his team.
So I think the point was trying to be made that look at these other teams that have obviously changed coaches mid-season, or even at the beginning of the season. You look at, Gattuso coming in, you look at Pioli coming in, and obviously those teams have had, success. Obviously with the Napoli point, they still know how to pass. They still have that chemistry. I think you can't look at it the same way, because we're going from A to Z. Yeah. From what Allegri had to now what Sarri wants. And when you come in, obviously a team that's underperforming, we're not talking about teams that are sitting at the top of the table and need to consistently win to stay there. We're talking about teams that were, falling towards mid-table, and now you have an open slate. So if you can motivate guys and they buy into what you're selling, I mean, really, you look at what happens with Milan, and yes, they have talented players, and they're following what Pioli wants them to do. Yeah. But that's just kind of how it works with when a coach gets replaced and a caretaker comes in. It doesn't happen all the time though. You look at you look at
Fiorentina
those
almost.
two exactly, right?
Yeah.
You look at the top examples, that's fine. Milan and Napoli have been good. But you look at the lower table, it's not like you're seeing Samp or Spal or Brescia get out of the relegation zone.
Yeah,
If they, you know,
to me, it's a case by case basis. You have to look at these
Right.
things. Like Sam, for example, because they start off with Di Francesco, and I think they went with someone else before Ranieri came in, and then I don't know if Ranieri's still with them. I didn't see him being sacked, but he kind of got them out, sort of.
right.
But to me, it's a case by case basis you have to go on because Napoli, for example, was the example he used.
Yeah.
Gattuso comes in, and it's relatively the same core. There's not that much turnover at Napoli.
Right.
There's a lot of turnover with Juve. Like, not a lot, but I mean, like, new players coming in, wanting to integrate them in. You have to worry about that. Your new right back that Sarri emphasized heavily that right side that we talked about before.
Right.
You have a right back who can't really pass, using a right winger as a right back. You have these injuries coming
style.
in. Fellini, yeah, brand new style. You're going from, Allegri ball to Sarri ball.
Right.
With Napoli, Gattuso came in, and basically he's doing what Ancelotti almost was trying to do. Ancelotti,
Right.
I believe, was more possession based. Gattuso is just like, hey, you know what? We're just gonna, we're gonna play on the count. Yep, like I'm gonna kill you if you don't run in training, like Lozano. I found out, unfortunately,
Exactly.
but I see where he was going.
Yeah.
And again, I'm on like the fence with it, but I think this is something to look at a case by case basis. There we go. A lot of
Now,
aces.
He dropped the players losing confidence in the coach, and you know what? That I have
Yep.
to agree with.
Yeah, yep, absolutely.
Go ahead, man. Run it.
No,
with
like, so it's just like it bugs me because when it comes to these big games like against Inter, the Derby, they look motivated, but not because of Sarri. It looks more
Yeah.
motivated because this
occasion.
clown, Conte is talking all this shit in the media. It's Inter, they're pushing this title challenge. Let's show them who we are. But then when you get actual games like Atalanta, and like I don't blame Ronaldo that much for sitting there. I mean, I hate it, but at the same time, like, what are you gonna do? Because as much as as I didn't like Allegri towards the end, hearing him yell on the sideline was promising because it showed that he cared and the players reacted accordingly to it. He's silent.
See, I don't know about that.
Smoking. I don't know if he's smoking or something or writing something down, but it looks like he mentioned, they just lost confidence in the system because they aren't playing any better.
Yeah.
They're, if anything, it appears to be that we're, worse.
It just seems like they're not listening to what he wants
Yeah,
them
they're like,
to
I
do.
don't, and I feel like they're often confused. I believe Eric pointed out because Sarri's just like, yeah, I'm trying to control the back line, but then
Yeah.
when it comes to final third, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like, that just doesn't work with a team that was so organized before.
Yeah.
To an
And
extent.
they're just, and
I
again,
think
they're
that's
not,
when they're
and
like,
then the results are,
Yep.
the results are, not going in our favor. And then that's when you lose confidence in the project. And then you try, and then again, you see instances like Dybala, Ronaldo talking
Yeah.
and saying they're not getting us the ball, this and
Yep.
that. And you hear all
and
the
then
shit.
like, mid-season you're going with the the diamond mid, and you're trying
Yeah.
to throw all these we went from, I believe it was Dybala as a cam at one point. He was behind Ronaldo and Higuain, and then it was Bentancur, and it was Pjanic, and it was Ramsey. When you go through 4 different players in one position, as a player, I feel like you'd just be like, dude, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
and and you have players like Ramsey and Ronaldo both saying, no, I don't want to play here. I
Yeah.
want to play here. I feel more comfortable here. That shows the other players, younger players in the squad. They're like, who's this guy? Like, Ronaldo and Ramsey are telling him what to
Don't
do.
even respect them to
Why
be like, well,
why
listen.
should I have respect for you?
Exactly.
But
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, I agree with Eric on that. They definitely lost. They definitely lost confidence. And it was the same thing at Chelsea too. They came out
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Hazard just did whatever you want apparently. Like,
Exactly. So I think that's a big part of it. I think that's a big next kind of thing. Obviously, he mentioned players look lost. He talked about, um, not really obviously knowing, and he said this in the past before. Obviously, he's been on Al's podcast
yeah,
as well. If you guys should check that out as well. But he's mentioned the cases with Chelsea and obviously Napoli on different occasions, and yeah, I think you can only use that argument if you've been given. Obviously, like with the talking about quality of players, you can only use that argument if you have been given the players you wanted and it still doesn't work.
mhm.
Because if you haven't, you don't know what the outcome is. It could be shit. It could be world class. Everything could work out for a season. But it's too difficult to drop that and that much of a assumption. And then I look at it as, again, if we found out that Sarri isn't the right coach, he's not up to the standard that we need to be, he's not a great enough coach, he's not intelligent enough, he's not pragmatic enough, whatever. If we found that out, and then maybe that was even known before, that's fine.
Yeah.
But Juve found that out. Juve fans are finding that out now, and obviously there's people in this club that get paid way more than me and way more than you and way more than a lot of other fans that talk about our beautiful club that get paid a hell of a lot more to do their job. And if they notice that and still sign the guy, that's on your ass, Agnelli.
Yeah,
that's on your ass, Paratici. And that's where the buck stops, in my opinion.
Yep.
Because you allowed this situation to get there. I don't want to. And then again, they're talking about, Paratici and Nedved convinced Agnelli. That's bullshit, man. You've made so many decisions in the past that are so, like, ridiculous, and contract extensions and signing the wrong guy.
Coaches
Exactly.
like Allegri was pretty bad.
And
the outcry.
And now all of a sudden you think you have a foot to stand on by saying, oh, well, Sarri, we didn't know this, or we didn't think it was going to be this bad. We could have thought he could. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
I've mentioned it before. Like, I think, they're sacking Allegri, expecting Zidane to come in, but then he kind of went to Madrid and shocked everyone. They're like, oh, shit. So then he went for Pep, and Pep was like, no, I want to stay. They went to Poch, and Poch was like, oh, I just made a final. Maybe I can do better. Okay. And then he went to Conte, and he's like, hey, give me 12 million. And they're like, no. So then who's that fall to? Sorry. So to me, I think what's going to happen, or kind of hoping, unless, COVID messed everything up, I was expecting this to just be a short-term interim sense, kind of like what Bayern does usually.
Get their guy after.
Yeah, get their guy out, bring someone in that just, get them through the season, introduce maybe like a different style or something. And to me, when they made the signing, was, like I said before, short term, introduce the attack and get the fundamentals in, but doesn't seem to have happened. And then go for someone that actually plays more attacking football, like a Pep was the dream. But maybe we'll not settle, but someone like Poch. But that's
what I thought we needed. We needed someone like Pochettino.
Yep.
Even a Conte at the beginning.
Yeah.
Even a Conte. And Agnelli's too proud to even allow that to happen after what happened when he left after his first 3 years. So I don't see that ever happening again.
Yeah,
I would be shocked if we hired him again.
Yeah, I don't blame him, to be honest. I mean,
I'm actually loving these Allegri to Merda because I want to see what our fans are going to be saying after he goes to fucking Merda. I want to see you rip him a new one like you did our coach. And don't get me wrong, if you want to hate the guy as a coach now, I totally can respect that. I respect what he did. I think he did a hell of a job for us to get us where we needed to be. No one thought we were winning that scudetto in the first season that he did, and so I don't want to go into that because to me, I have no room. What the guy's contributed as a player, I don't see the need to go that far and rip the guy an asshole because he took a job. Yes, it's a particular job, but it's a job nonetheless.
Yeah, it's
so
the same
now
with, like,
I want to see exactly. I don't have any disrespect. I don't have any ill. Obviously, you could say, well, Conte was a player and
Captain.
now captain and now obviously coach. So it's a little bit different. That's fine. You can have that argument. I'm not going to argue with
like I
but
understand.
I'm not
both
going to I'm
sides,
not going to say boo about him because of what he's done. And I really could give a shit what he says in the media. I could really give a shit what he says in the press conference. It's all bullshit in my honest opinion. It's what he's doing for his job and that's it. I don't think he means anything, and whatever you guys can go back and forth on that. But to me, it is. I would love to see Allegri go to Merida. This would be a birthday.
That would be interesting. I
because
think
I would love to see this turn. I would love to see it.
Yeah,
because just the same way they did to Conte, the exact same way. I hope you guys all remember what you guys said, and I hope you stay on that same level.
See, I think part of it is where it differs is how they left mostly. Like I understand why people hate him. I understand why people also, still like Conte. I'm indifferent because, he left in the middle of training. Yeah, the way in that comment, like, oh, how am I going to eat in a €100 restaurant with 10 euros? And it's like, dude, like, come on, man. Like, trust the process, taking off of the Sixers.
True.
You have to trust that process. And the same thing, it happened even before. Was it Livorno is what he was at before Juve? I forget who it was, because every club that he's left so far, it was issues with transfers. It happened with Chelsea. It happened with us. It happened with the team before. So, I mean, and he's only there because of the 12 million. I mean, let's be real. Let's be real.
Exactly.
Like,
I don't fault the guy.
Yeah,
I mean,
neither do I.
He's doing horrible to like fuck their shit. Obviously, they won today, but to fuck their whole shit up. So I have no problem with that. But let me tell you one thing though.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I don't want to get too deep into this. This will be kind of the last thing for me. What did Conte want? Quadrado? Who the hell is who is Allegri? What did he win before?
Mm-hmm.
And he was given essentially, started bringing in these exact same players that Conte was asking for. But now because he asked the club, now all of a sudden we have a problem. But when they bring those exact same players that he wanted to a year, 2 years later, now all of a sudden we're okay with our management. That's a shady management, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, people forget, Conte did want a Turbe.
He did.
Other players didn't work out. But I also think, I don't know if I heard. Did you say, was it about Allegri? You said, what does he win before? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, he didn't do. He was famous for the same thing that he was known, playing a great second leg after he got smashed by Barcelona, and we got the same thing just the past 2 years.
You're talking about.
No, I'm just saying in general.
Okay.
He's obviously he's won one scudetto with a really good Milan team.
You're also forgetting, he was, and he found Matuidi as well.
Sorry. I apologize. I'll take that back. But anyways, let's get back to this. Couple more points. Obviously, he made a comment saying that when they remove Sarri, obviously you look at Napoli, you look at Chelsea, wherever, they still play better. To me, that's more of a credit of, like I said, when you have a team that's played for 4, 5, 6 years together, they get that accommodation, unity. Everyone knows they know what runs you like to make. They know if you're gonna go, if you pull up, the guy's gonna make a run to the corner, make a run towards the center of the field. That stuff, everybody gets on the same page. I think it's a little bit different. Too easy of a cop out to say that. I don't know if you agree with that, Jake, but kind of again, I think it's a case by case thing.
Yeah,
I don't think Chelsea's looked incredible this year, to be quite honest.
No, I think because Eric did bring that up, and I think it's a good point about chemistry, how long the team's been together, who's left, who hasn't, and excuse me. You think again, you brought up Chelsea, and Lampard inherited like a pretty good squad that Conte kind of built. He has integral pieces in there like Conte, Sarri, brought in Jorginho, and Kovacic, but at the end of the day, they've been playing with each other for a while. Mason Mount and Tammy Abraham, they've been literally like joined at the hip in their youth academy for since they were young. There's a lot of stuff you got to take into consideration, like you said, case by case basis, of course, because I mean, look at how many teams have faltered over the years.
Yep, exactly. And then last thing, obviously, he talked about giving Saturday another year. What happens if he does get his players, or what happens if, he doesn't still get his players and we're in the same predicament? Well, if that's the fucking case, then I know exactly whose head needs to be on a fucking pike outside J Stadium. And it isn't Saturday, because we've been going down the same road. And, we get into these cycles where we go, okay, well, the coach has to be pragmatic. And then we get to the off season, and then we don't improve the midfield, and then we bitch about the mid. It's like the 5 signs of depression. We go through the same damn cycle every year with this. It goes, we complain about the midfield, nothing's done. Then we kind of accept it, and then we say, okay, well, the coach should fucking deal with it. And then once we get knocked out of Champions League, we go right back to the same shit all over again. So, again, I know who I'm looking at. I've been looking at them for the past 3 years. I think if we get out of this period without a Champions League, there needs to be a massive, and I would almost say, Agnelli, you stay on the board, you keep collecting your check, and you get some actual football, and you bring back the DNA. You bring back Del Piero, which I think is a very intelligent mind in soccer. I think he's very underrated. He's made some really good comments in the past about what to do. I think you bring him like as the prez. You bring in Buffon. You bring back all the legends. Obviously, Chiellini at that point might be, he might be done at that point. You bring him and you instill the same DNA that we are so lacking. No one is bleeding for the shirt anymore. No one is fighting for every ball. It's just, and even with Allegri, I don't want to hear it. Even with Allegri, so it's not just that Saturday. The mentality, this money over everything. We've gotten too much, and I think the experiment as a brand if we get to that point without Champions League, massive failure. Because when you become the team, and let's say we go to certain finals in the next coming that loses again, and you're going to be the team known as 7, 8, 9 losses in Champions League finals. You're not going to be known as the team that had Ronaldo. You're going to be known as the failure who keeps losing in Champions League finals.
Yeah.
And that's it. I don't give a shit that we brought him in.
I don't know. Like, I understand where you're coming from with having, like, former players kind of have higher ups. I also believe that, unfortunately, this is kind of how football is going to when it comes to these brands.
I agree.
Yeah. So I think, it's going to be handled more as a business. And, bleeding for a shirt and whatnot, going back to the roots. But also, we have to remember, losing in these finals unfortunately, it's part of the history. I mean, in the mid-90s, 3 in a row, we beat Ajax and then lost the consecutive 2, with Dortmund and Madrid, 2003 against Milan. But, I do agree there needs to be a Champions League at the end of the cycle because we've built to this point and we've set these benchmarks. Yeah. Like, if, reminding people years ago, Agnelli said, my goal is to sign Ronaldo. And then he said, my goal is to sign the next Ronaldo at the age of 24, which I'm hoping is that little French forward at PSG.
Swap with Ronaldo.
I was hoping for that.
I'll sign it today.
But I think that I don't see Sarri staying for another year.
No,
and also,
not.
If he does, I don't think we're signing any of his players because now we're in a situation like at Chelsea where you have Jorginho, who still plays, yes, because he's integral to that, because he's a he's a quality regista. But you have guys like Palmieri, Zappacosta, who aren't getting that much game time. And I think Zappacosta went on loan to Roma.
Yeah, to Roma. Yep.
And now you have dead weight. Now we're back to square one. We have this, this wood. We have this dead wood, this dead weight, whatever you want to call it. So I'm hoping for Poch, and we build with Poch. Because if you build with a manager, a competent manager, like look at Atalanta, look at Sassuolo, look at Lazio. They put faith into these managers, and look at them now. They're reaping the benefits of it. So if we get someone, a younger coach like Poch, who's proved himself, and we stick with them as long as we stay committed to them and back them like we should, that Champions League can come a lot sooner than we think. But
that's why I think it was such a weird idea to bring in, like you said. I almost don't believe it because of the contract we signed.
Yeah.
And they barely wanted to move on from Allegri even after his having 2 years on his contract.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden we're gonna sign Sarri to this contract, and now it's gonna be like, yay, let's get rid of him after 1 year. That's what shocks me. And then again, like you, the perfect point that you made. You bring him in, don't sign his players in the first year, and then so what do? Either one, you're getting rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking him out of the equation after 1 year, and this is just a jump in time from A to B to kind of mind over the time because the coach you wanted wasn't there.
Yeah.
Or you really do believe that this guy you are gonna make the signings for the next year, and then if it goes to shit next year, then again, like you said, you're behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, and like, it goes both ways, Sarri's not entirely to blame.
No.
Not entirely, of course not. But also the management needs to start backing their managers more because, I get it was a little rushed. The planning was horrible.
Well,
As we went before, we ran through 4 other managers that they were linked to before Sarri. So you can see kind of like everything was fucked up.
And I would say, why do we put ourselves in? Like, to me, that's all on management.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we put ourselves in these situations? We should, as the club, obviously being behind the big guns because they make so much more money than we do. You have to be so smart and to see that those guys who make so much more money, the Real Madrid, Barcelona, even you look at Liverpool, they make so much more money than we do. And they still build teams, man.
Yeah,
you wouldn't think of that. You would think these teams are, they would be like the Man Cities, but they don't. You look at Real Madrid; they perfectly calculated and won 3 in a row. Obviously, they got lucky. We can talk about that, whatever.
But
even Liverpool, 4 years, obviously of winning nothing, and then they go on to win a Champions League.
Manager.
They bought the guys they need. And exactly.
It's my point. We need to start backing because Klopp, for he had his vision. The board trusted him, and they went through with it. Same thing with Barcelona early on with Pep and Luis Enrique and their whole style. Attacking football, all of that jazz. But I also feel like they kind of got lucky with Messi as well, of course, being there. We won't get into that, but Perez. An absolute genius. I mean, Ronaldo leaves for 100 million. You immediately invest that into, you have Valverde, you have Rodrigo, you have Meniscus, you have more on the way. They've also been in the game for a while. I think it was, like you remember Perez, one of his main things with the presidency was, I will sign Luis Figo. They were like, yeah, all right, sure, you're the president now. Back up your talk, and then Luis Figo comes in. He's brilliant. And I think Agnelli, over time, will start to become that as he gets more experience. Because he was a little baby when he took hold of the club.
Exactly.
And now, and he trusted Marotta at first, bringing him in, I think it was from Samp at the time.
Yeah,
and they've made smart deals early on. And now we need to continue with that. We can't lack like we're doing right now. We're stagnating. That's not good.
Yeah.
We need to stick with this. We need to back up the manager. Basically,
and that's what I mentioned. People were talking about Agnelli being on these other big companies, were obviously managing in those companies, and it's not the same thing. I mean,
when it comes to football,
especially the lifestyle the guy, obviously how he's grown up, obviously in wealth, but so it's a little bit different. And like you said, I think Marotta is a very key player. I mean, as much as people want to give him shit for some of the stupid deals, which he did, he has made.
Everyone has those,
But he was really riding the ship for a long time. That's the only problem I have, and this is what it is.
Yeah,
I believe that with Allegri, and this is why the Ronaldo deal is so difficult for me. Because I get it. I would love to have won 4 Champions Leagues in a row with Ronaldo. I have no problem with that. I would have no problem. I would buy the jersey every year.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'd buy the jersey every year anyways. So I would have loved for Agnelli and Paratici and Marotta to keep building, keep improving that team we had that just lost the final. Not get all gung-ho about brand and about dollars. We didn't necessarily need that right away. It's baby steps. We could have achieved the brand later on. I didn't think we needed to jump that far. You look at Liverpool; they didn't need to jump that far. Slowly keep building up the team, fix the midfield, and I honestly, wholeheartedly think we would have won a Champions League by now if we just didn't uh, succumb to a pipe dream of Ronaldo. And I really do believe Agnelli thought that Ronaldo was gonna do it for us. I think
Just
that's
put him
what
on
the
his
goal.
back. Yeah.
I honestly believe that's what they thought. And they knew that they were going to make a lot of money. They were going to get a lot of followers. They were going to sell a lot of merch. Yes, that all comes with it. Yes, the sponsorship revenue is going to go up. Didn't go up as high as all of you thought. We're not even in the stratosphere of those other teams still. And one of our sponsors is our own company. So
Yeah.
to me, not as good, not as
Yeah.
good as what people are saying. But anyway, still good.
Yeah.
Still
You know,
good.
like, and of course, like, I'll refrain, like, my full judgment till the end of this cycle, see how
Exactly.
it goes. Because who the
Exactly.
hell knows? Maybe, like, next year,
We could
huge, like we
we could win
talked
this
about,
year.
like,
We could win next year.
yeah, we can win. Yeah, football's unpredictable. You can't predict it, and that's the beauty of it with all sports, really. And that's why
Fair.
most of us are fans. Anything can happen, we believe. But
One
Um,
final thing before I get you out of here.
Yep.
Because it's been a hell of a conversation.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is gonna be awesome, man. I'm gonna have to cut this up. I have a few days, guys, so this is gonna be good. I'm gonna figure it out, but because I don't know why the hell they put Lazio on a Monday night. Boggles my mind. But anyways, kind of screwed me out of being on La Panquina. I would have loved to have been on that one. But no, I got to go to work on Monday. But anyways, last kind of segment here. Obviously, we talked about going to the stadium, memorable moments. You know, give us a typical. You know, what really stands out to you? I love the nostalgia. I love hearing, obviously, bring it up because I remember a lot of. There's been so many moments, but you know, some people can really hit the nail on the head and like bring you back to 84 or 2010, and they got the details perfectly. You know, just what comes, or even something you've been a game that you've been to, even in North America or wherever.
oh, I have a good one for that.
Yeah, go ahead, man. The floor is
So
yours.
yeah, not exactly like one of the things I like my dad and I pride ourselves on is that we got to see Caldara play 2 games for us live, All-Star game
Awesome.
and against Bayern in National Champions Cup. But just like the moment I want to bring out is when we went to Philly for Juve Bayern.
Yeah.
This is more of like a fan experience in the sense Favilli was playing. I believe that's who it was. He scored his brace. My dad was just taking the piss out of the whole thing about like he's the next Fieri and this dude behind us is not having it. And he's like, oh, my grandmother could score these goals. Dude, this dude's trash. He's like, fuck you guys. And my dad's like, hey, whoa, you're talking to the next, Bobo Vieri over here. Like, we're just taking piss out of him. His friends, obviously steered him off.
Yeah.
That's more of a fan experience. But on the pitch, I'll just have 2 quick ones. I remember the Krasic goal. I think that might have been Lazio, if I recall.
Yep,
I think it was the last minute winner. I was like 9 or 10 at the time. I remember my dad just blowing smoke. Like my dad was like running. Like my dad was so happy. Every time, as a kid, the only things I really remember were his Napoli chants,
Right.
screaming Krasic at the top of his lungs, screaming Matri. Every time Krasic scored, it's an earthquake. But my personal favorite moment, it's kind of sad though, was that Cardiff goal. I used to work at Chick-fil-A at the time. I was driving home because I managed to get a morning shift.
Yep.
And so I had the game playing in my car. I wasn't watching it. I wasn't distracted until the goal. But having the audio playing, and I'm at a red light at this point. And I
No.
hear,
Oh my God.
and I look down and I see the goal, and like my windows were down, and so like I see Mandzukic at the bicycle. I lost my shit in my car. I was screaming at the top of my lungs. I was like banging my steering wheel. I was, this is woman next to me just looking
I was
at me
gonna say.
mortified. And I was just like, Mandzukic! Just like yelling at her. She's like, and it went green. I just sped off. But like, I wonder how she went home and
She was
explained
probably
that
like,
to
"What is
whoever.
this nutcase?"
Dude, and I'm screaming some like Croatian's name. I'm talking about Higuain, Madrid in the mud, like it's happening. I think I said there like it's happening, boys, and I went home and I have all this adrenaline in me. My dad's like sitting on the couch. He hasn't paused. He was waiting for me. I didn't know, and I came in. And I was like, "Oh my god, did you see that goal?" And he's like, "Dude, I had to pause for you, man." And I was like, "All right,
Spoiler
well,
alert.
yeah, spoiler." But God, what a goal that was! I
That
hate,
was.
dude. Little rabbit hole, not rabbit hole, squirrel, I guess. Little distraction is what we call it in my job, squirrel. It's funny that day. It was June 3rd, 2017. I remember it because not only for Cardiff, but after that game, the 4-1, we shut it off at the Asensio goal. I went back to Chick-fil-A to see one of my friends there. I was backing into the parking spot, hit the gas instead of the brake, and I crashed my car. Yeah, my first accident, mind you. So I got in an accident that day, and I was sitting there, and I was like, put the car in park. I got out, and I remember, and I was kicking one of the shards on the ground. I was so mad, and I called my dad. I'm like, and he's like, "What happened?" And I'm like, "Dude,
This
if
day
this
just
day
gets
could
better.
not get any worse." And it was funny because my boss came out. She's like, "Oh, why'd you come back? I thought you were going to a party, like your grandparents' surprise party." And I was like, "Oh, yeah. Well, you see, and I made up some excuse out of my
There's a
ass."
family fight,
Oh
and we
my
stormed
god,
out.
it was a great day. It was
Man,
a
that
great.
is, yeah. I mean, for that goal, it was funny. I was surprised. I had a bunch of friends over. I want to say like at least 80% of them were supporting Real,
Ah, yes.
and then there was like a few neutral sprinkled in there,
Uh-huh.
and then one of my really good friends at the time actually like jumped on the he's Pole. Like I noticed with Polish, I don't know what it is. I don't know if this is everybody. Obviously, Martian great fan, great
Yes,
fan,
great man.
but all my buddies over here, it's like one likes Man U, Milan, Bayern, Dortmund. Guys, I'm calling you guys out. Pick a fucking team already. You only get one choice. But I got to thank my buddy Albert at the time, and that goal goes in, and just both of us just get up and just lose it. And I
Oh
literally
yeah.
I picked the guy up and toss him. I've also done this during an Italy game where this guy like ran up to hug me, and I've literally just
Through him.
hulked
That's
him, and
so
I
funny.
was like, this. Oh shit! After I'm like, I'm
Dude.
so sorry, dude.
My my friends, they don't follow football at all. I'm like, well,
So you
soccer.
mostly watch at home then?
Oh
That's
yeah,
another
I'm
thing I was going to
usually
ask you. Like,
yep.
what's the setting? Obviously,
My
you brought up Philadelphia. Is that more of like a family connection, or just obviously are you associated with that fan club, or
Oh, you talking about Philadelphia?
Yeah,
So where I live, I hop
I guess.
on I hop on
Uh,
55, which is the highway, and the bridge is right there, and I am 5-10 minutes away from Philly.
just connected the dots as you said that. I was like, dumbass. Yep, they're right
Yeah,
beside
so
each
and I wanted to go to that. My dad and I keep trying to go to that cafe. It's like that
Grand,
Phil
Grand
goes
Aquila.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah. But no, yeah, that's association. I'm like right next
I
door,
got you.
so love taking the train over some days when it's nice, just walking the city with friends. But no, it's funny because we mostly watch at home. It's just my dad and I.
That's
Occasionally, my
good. That's
sister or
nice.
someone. My mom hates it, but it's all in
Me
good
too.
fun. But when I'm out, like the Inter game before lockdown, I was at Applebee's watching that. I had on my phone, I had my phone propped up, and my two friends were going to a wrestling show. And they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, like, are you watching soccer right now?" And I'm like,
Yep.
"Yeah, why wouldn't I?" And then I erupt when Dybala scores, and they're just like looking at me like we don't know this kid.
Who is this
He's
guy?
a
Yeah.
crackhead screaming in an Applebee's about Dybala scoring. There's tons of moments with that. That Higuain's goal with Inter. I was at home watching that, and I went to my
Oh,
friend's
that
party,
was
and literally the game ended. I went to my friend's birthday party, and I roll up in my jersey, and I'm like jumping about. They're like, oh, Juve must have won or something. Like,
Yep. No,
Jake,
that's awesome, man.
I
That
love it.
is awesome.
I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
So, anyways, guys, this was a hell of a show.
Yeah, it.
I think it's gonna make up for what we missed with Albert. And again, I apologize, Albert. We're gonna have you on. We're gonna try and recreate that moment somehow. I don't know. I definitely believe we're gonna get her done. But again, thank you so much, Jake, for coming on. Obviously, I thought it was perfect that obviously one that you love.
When I saw that message,
Sassuolo.
I was like, oh, he knows. He
Yeah.
knows what's up.
So I mean, again, incredible show. I don't know if I'm gonna split. I think I'm gonna split it up at a section and maybe drop 2.
Yeah.
But
we're going for a
yeah,
while.
yeah, this has been great, guys. Obviously for me, at Juventinita, DAL, Instagram, Twitter. But you know, for the real important stuff, Twitter. The links come out as soon as they drop. It's gonna be on Twitter for iTunes, Spotify, obviously YouTube. Podbean as well, if you guys use that. That's more of just for the provider. But yeah, guys, it's been great support from around the world. I got to thank you guys all the time. And again, just one quick thing, like Eric was talking about, is like, don't be shy, man. Just create some content. There's gonna be lots of people that are gonna want to watch. You got a lot of views on that video, and you know, to me, I can't speak for everyone else. I can speak for, I would say, it's the guys that are good friends with me. We do this because we love it, and that's it. I don't get paid anything for this. If I stayed with my 36 subs on YouTube for whenever I decide to stop this thing or hand it over to whoever wants to take it, so be it, guys. I had a hell of a time. It was a really fun podcast. I love hearing your guys' stories. Like I said, so if you got some really great stories, or you know, even just some rivalry, some banter, whatever it may be, get a hold of me. We want to hear it. It's fun. It's hilarious. You know, you have the similar experiences with other people, or maybe completely different, or how you found the club and whatnot. And 21 episodes so far, and we keep going. I think I'm gonna get some of my buddies on. I'm talking too much shit, and they're not being able to talk back. So
yeah,
I gotta let them get their voice. So we're gonna have some fellow Calgarians. Obviously, one is half Italian, half Portuguese. Big Ronaldo fan, a Real fan, and then also again my brother from another mother, Jesse, somehow likes Man U. Somehow likes Lewandowski and likes Bayern. Buddy, pick a team already. Like I said, pick a team. Pick a team. So, anyways,
blast, man.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. You have to, man.
I know.
You gotta see some of these conversations. I wouldn't be allowed to show you some of the conversations I have on the podcast, ripping into each other. But no, guys. Again, follow at Jake Vinciguerra. And check out his past work. He's obviously been on a lot. Like you've been on everybody's show.
Yeah, so far I'm doing well for myself. Yeah. I've been on all Juve casts. I've been on this show, obviously, and if anyone wants some Sassuolo knowledge, I think I'm like one of the only
you got a veteran over here.
People over there on Twitter.
Exactly. So guys, give him a follow. Definitely great takes, and obviously that's Sassuolo knowledge if you're interested. Obviously, as well as some great Juve takes as well. But again, yeah, stay tuned. There's so much more to come. I got some ideas coming up in the works. I think for Champions League, obviously incorporating possibly some watch parties, but you'll have to stay tuned for that. Yeah, it's going to be something a little bit different. It's not going to be a lot. It's going to be Juve focused in a sense, but something different and different perspectives. And I got to see if I can make it work. We'll see what happens.
Champions League matches, it's a completely different animal with everyone.
Exactly. So guys, stay tuned for that. And again, keep in touch. Anyone who wants to, you're welcome. Male, female. Again, I've said it before. There's a lot of Juventina that have great opinions, that are always online. Don't be shy. We can do this without video, with video. Just let me know when you guys are available, and we'll make it work with the different time zones. And as always, fino alla fine. Forza Juventus, guys.
Forza Sassuolo.
Ciao.